Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the False Prophets Podcast. My name is Vinnie. I'm your host. I'm your teacher. And here we like to expose the gurus and give you some real deal information. Now, the last podcast I did was on Ron LeGrand, and it's going to be coming down. And the reason why it's coming down is because my wife got a sniff of it and hated my language. So I'm going to reshoot it tonight, and I'm not going to curse and swear and cuss all over the podcast and act a little bit more professional. So I apologize to anybody who was upset at my foul language. All my students know that I have a potty mouth. I try to tell everybody that, before anybody signs up, that, hey, I don't mean anything by it. It's terrible. I wish I can change it. It just doesn't happen, especially when I get riled up with these gurus. So somebody asked me to do Ron LeGrand, and I have his informational packet right here, and we're definitely going to go over it. And I'm going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly with Ron LeGrand as soon as I fix the lighting situation here. So if you bear with me for 1 second, I'm just going to flip a little switch here, and you should be able to see me a little bit better. All right? So I'm coming right back into the screen. There you go. So you can see me a little bit better. Okay. So I'm going to make a couple things clear. Number one, I am not attacking the man personally. I don't know him. I never shook his hand. I never talked to him. I don't know him on a personal level. So I'm not attacking him individually. That's number one. Number two, people say, you're a guru too. No, I'm not a guru. I am an educator. I teach people how all this stuff works. I don't tell you what program to use. I just say, listen, these are my 40 years of experience of owning hundreds of homes, building multi-million-dollar estates, owning a credit repair company, owning a mortgage company for over 30 years, doing thousands of transactions during my time. Okay, I've been doing this for literally almost 40 years. Okay? Owned a lot of stuff, built a lot of stuff, sold a lot of stuff, flipped a lot of stuff. I've done it all, okay? Which gives me the right to critique other people, okay? Now, some people might critique me, and that's fair enough. I'm open game. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. However, anybody who wants to critique me, let's go one-on-one. I'm open anytime, anywhere, anything you want to talk about, discuss, or challenge, let's go. I'm all in. Okay? I'll jump in the deep end. Let's do it. Okay? Especially all you subject to clowns. Now, when people ask me, hey, what about this guy? What about this guy? Okay, I just don't do a surface evaluation. I dig into it. I basically can't stand it because I get so many damn emails from all of them, okay? Once you're in their system, right, it's impossible to get out of their system, okay? They just bombard you. They're relentless. They're evil in what they do to the unknown people, okay? This is all stuff, okay? And we're going to review it, okay? The emails, everything just keeps coming. It doesn't stop. They're relentless. So, what we're going to talk about first is going to be their boot camp, okay? Let me explain how these gurus operate, okay? And I'm not just talking about Ron LeGrand, okay? Now, I've seen Ron LeGrand talk. I think he's a legitimate guy. I think he's done a lot of real estate in his day. But the crap that he's pushing on to people, he knows it doesn't work. He knows it. He's doing it because he can make money, and here's why. He knows that all of you out there are starving for real information. And he sounds legit. So you're willing to throw any amount of money down to think that you're going to buy your way into financial freedom. I'll just pay him 5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand, and next thing I know, I'll be on easy street. Oh, you think so, right? Little do you know that this stuff takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of knowledge. It takes skill. It takes a lot of all of it, okay? You're not just going to go pay somebody and think you're going to, become rich. It just doesn't happen, okay? Now, again, I educate, okay? I teach you how all of this stuff works. I don't just sell you a program and move on, okay? It's not what I do. Now, let's talk about just boot camps in general. Now, what I did a couple of times, I've got thrown out a few of these, right? Because I can't keep my mouth shut. Go to the free seminar, right? And all it is pom-pom motivational bullshit. Not a single shred of real knowledge is spread during these things. And it's all the same story. I was an alcoholic. I was a drug addict. I was living on my mother's couch, my father's basement, my cousin's garage, my aunt's sofa. All the same identical story. Until they met Ron LeGrand, until they met Pace Morley, until they met this guru and that guru, right? Until they met Grant Cardone, until they met so-and-so. And now I'm rich and you could be rich too. Just by starting out at our boot camp. Now today is free. We're just letting you in the door. Now, if you come to our boot camp, it's only a couple $1,000. What's the rest of your life going to be? Do you want to pay us now, or do you want to go back to your 9-to-5 rat race, right? And then when they get you into the boot camp, what's their next thing? They surround you like vultures trying to get you to go to what? To the next level. This is all multi-level marketing. It's all that it is. Really, it's a Ponzi scheme. It's friggin', they're thieves. Because the next level, there is no next level. Ladies and gents, there is no inner circle. There is no mastermind. There's none of that stuff. None of that stuff is true. Okay? There's no inner circles and masterminds and this, that, and the other thing. It's either you have the knowledge or you don't. And going to learn one type of program like subject to or lease purchase or wholesaling isn't going to get you anywhere. I love the new students. I love them to death. They come in, they're like, yeah, I saw this guy, right? Here's my plan. I'm going to wholesale a few properties, build up my cash flow. Then I'm going to start flipping homes and I'm going to do this. I'm like, okay, sure you are. Sure. Good luck with that, right? Good luck with that. I mean, these people just have no clue. It all sounds good because that's what these gurus preach. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is stay away from any boot camp. Vinnie, you run boot camps. I do run boot camps, yes. But I am telling you, okay, each one of mine is very specific, okay? Very, 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 very specific. And trust me when I tell you this, the stuff that I teach, none of these guys teach it. And I'm telling you, I will challenge each and every one of these to a duel, right? Pick a property. You go first. Go do your pitch. I'll go second, and I guarantee I win. And then we'll do another property, and I'll go first. And you can go second, and I guarantee I'll win again. I guarantee that I will never lose. Because the shit that they sell is garbage. And I'm going to explain it all to you now. Okay? What the garbage is. Remember, garbage in, garbage out. Okay? Garbage in, garbage out. It's how it is, folks. Now, let's talk about their garbage. Okay? Let's talk about the boot camp. Okay? Now, let me tell you something. They called me to attend. At first, I thought they were calling me to be a guest speaker, which I would have never done. But that's what I thought, because I got this call. Hey, Vin, I don't even know how they got my number. I have no idea how they got my phone number. I didn't put my number in anywhere, right? So they called me up, and I called them back like a day later. And I'm thinking, hey, this is Ron LeGrand, so-and-so calling you about the school. So I'm like, all right, well, give them a call, right? And here, honest to God, in the beginning, in my, just being naive, I'm thinking, hey, maybe they want me to, come in and teach a class, right? No. What do they want? They wanted $5,000 for 3 days. Now, let me tell you something. I talked to the guy, their sales guy, okay? I'm just looking some stuff up real quick. Sorry for not looking in the camera. My apologies, because I'm the only guy here. I literally talked to their sales guy for 2 to 3 hours. I said, what do you think he's going to teach somebody in 3 days, right? So let me talk about the 3-day boot camp that cost you. Well, at the time, let me just tell you what they said was going to cost me. Okay, I have it all here. Okay, $4,999 for 3-day boot camp. Okay, that is what. Okay, I'm looking it up now. It's now a 4-day intensive hands-on training. Okay, but at the time, it was a 4-day school, a 3-day school. Okay, $49.99 or 5-day school. See, I got another one. It's a 3-day school. I think the one that they were charging me $5,000 was a 3-day school. So I called them up. And again, in the beginning, I thought it was about me. I guess I'm kind of selfish that way. No, they want me to attend, pay $5,000. So I played dumb. I said, okay, what am I going to learn over these 3 days? Well, you're going to learn about hard money and private money. I said, oh, okay, hard money and private money. And what's that going to do, right? Okay, you're going to learn about hard money and private money. And I'm going to get into hard money and private money and the difference and what it means. Because I've taken a hard money loan out. I'll tell you a story about that. Okay, I was building a $2 million house. I ran out of money. And I was way over my budget. And I just needed 50 grand, right? I'll tell you real quick. I needed a quick $50,000 so I can get to closing, right? But I didn't have it because I put money down over here. I just bought another $2 million property. I was a little cash poor at the time. So a friend of mine says, hey, I got a buddy who can lend you 50 grand right now. I said, really? Who? It's a hard money lender. And I got to remember, I'm young. I was still very young at this time. I was not into this hard money lending. I didn't need it. So I said, all right, let me give him a call. Yeah, have him call me, right? So he called me. He says, listen, where's the deal? I told him where the deal was. He says, I said, look, I have a $1 million loan on it right now. It's worth $2.3 million. I paid cash for the land. I said, I need $50,000 just to get my UNO, and I can pay you right back. Guy says, well, I'm in the second lien position. We don't do that. I said, look, I'll pay a premium for being in the second lien position. For what that means is, listen, the hard money guys and private lenders, they want security. Meaning if they're going to lend money, they want to be the first one to get paid back, which means they're going to be in the first lien position. Okay, and I'm going to show you what that means in 1 second. And I said, well, I'm going to be in the second. And I said, listen, this property is in the prime location you could get. It's worth $2 million. You're literally at a 50% loan to value. You should be, and it's 99% done. You should, and the bank wouldn't give me any more money because I already went way over my budget and I put a lot of my cash into it, right? I kind of went overboard. And the guy says, look, I'll give you the 50 grand, no problem, right? He says, come get it. And he said, when are you going to pay me back? I said, in about 30 days. And what I give him back in 30 days? $100,000. His 50 and another 50, right? That's what I paid for hard money lending. Now, you could probably get it for less money, I'm sure, right? If you look around. But listen, hard money is like the last resort. Now, let me show you very quick what I mean when I say in the first lien position, second lien position, and things like that. So when you go to a bank, okay, when you go to a bank, okay, and you go to this big bank here, right? And I had this house right here, okay? I owed $1 million on it, okay? And this bank, we'll just call it ABC Bank, that lent me this money, okay? Now the fair market value was $2 million plus, okay? 2 million plus. So ABC Bank, they had a first lien position. Means they're going to get paid back first. They're the first ones that lent me money. That lent me $1 million to build this beautiful house, okay? So then I needed another $50,000, okay? So bank number 2, and this was a person, okay? They lent me this $50,000. Now they had to go behind this person, meaning that if something happened and I lost the house, this person gets paid first, this person gets paid second. Now, these hard money lenders, they want to always be in the first lien position. They never want to go into the second lien position, okay? That's why when you see this fraud Pace Morbley talk about him and his private lender, I'll get into that on another video, but I'll talk about it. So, unless you got that type of loan to value on that type of house in that type of neighborhood, you're not getting somebody to lend you money in a second lien position, okay? So, now, I lost my train of thought. So now the boot camp, back to the boot camp. So it was $5,000 for 3 days. They were going to teach you hard money and private money, okay? Which is basically just people lending you money, okay? And obviously they still want skin in the game, but it's more about the deal than it is about you. Okay, so you can have bad credit. You don't have to have a job or anything like that. As long as the deal is a good deal, they'll look at it, okay? So I guess he talks about where you can find private money and hard money and things like that. Let me tell you, hard money lenders, they're a dime a dozen. They're like mushrooms. They're just sprout up everywhere, okay? They're not hard to find. Private lenders, they're a little bit harder to find because they're private individual people that are lending you money, okay? Doctors, lawyers, athletes, right? They don't want to put it in a bank and earn 2%. They want their money to grow, okay? So that was one of the things you learned. Now listen, are you going to become a real estate investor knowing that? No, but you always need good sources of income to do deals, okay? Now, the next thing they told me that they were going to teach was trust in LLCs. Oh, God. I always say this to my students. Everybody says, oh, put it in a trust. Put it in an LLC. I'm sorry, start out with an LLC. I'm like, okay, LLC, here we go. More guru garbage. Why are you putting it in an LLC? Oh, to protect my anonymity. Oh, why do you care if people know if you owned a house or not owned a house? Because they're going to sue me. For what reason? You know how everybody is. They're sue happy. Okay, well, what are they going to sue you for? Right? Well, slip and fall. Slip and fall. Oh, okay. How many people do you know ever got sued or know that somebody sued them for a slip and fall? I don't know anybody. And I've been doing this a long time. Literally, I don't know anybody. Right now, if that's really the case, you just get added insurance. Talk to any good financial planner, right? Talk to any good CPA. What did I say, financial planner? Any good CPA, any good attorney, real estate attorney. They'll tell you your best bet is get insurance. Now, the best answer I ever heard of why you want to put it in an LLC. No, put it in an LLC is not for anonymity and it's not for protection because a good attorney is going to crack that in 5 seconds. Okay? It's worthless. An LLC is worthless. Okay? It's worthless. A trust, different story. But let me give you what I was saying is I only got one good answer from one of my students. Why do you want to put it in an LLC? Right? And I always hear, the same stupid answer because that's what the gurus tell them, right? They say to do it. I'm like, who's they? Online. I'm like, well, who are they online? Who's the genius that's online and telling you that that's what you should do? But I did have an answer from one of my students, and this is what she said. She goes, Vinny, it just makes me look more professional. I'm like, Lakia, that is a great answer. I love it. And if that's what you want to do to make yourself look professional, go right ahead. That's fine. Just remember, though, it's a little harder to finance it, okay? Because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac don't like going in LLCs. You can, but, you're probably looking at more commercial financing than you are residential, okay? Now, if that went over your head, don't worry about it. But basically, the answer was it made her look more professional. All right, good enough. Now, if you want to put stuff in a trust, okay, fine, right? The only person I ever recommended to put something in a trust was a friend of mine. where we did 2 short sales, right? $1.5 million in a little over a year's time, year and a half's time. And he had $10 million in assets. So absolutely, positively put that into a trust, right? Do not put your personal name on that, right? I want to protect you, okay? And that's what we did there. So that's a different story. Unless you've got a lot of assets you're trying to protect, you can put in your own personal name. Just make sure you got extra added insurance if you can't sleep at night. All right. So now, basically, learning about a trust and an LLC, private money and hard money, is kind of worthless at a boot camp, right? You don't need that. So the next thing that he told me is he's going to touch on flipping homes. Let me tell you this. Do not, as a newbie, ever try to flip a home. You're going to lose your shirt. Forget it. Okay? But they were just touching on that. What they were going to learn was subject to financing and lease purchase options. This is every guru's dream. By the way, I get up and down a lot because I have an extremely bad back. I got 2 bad knees and I've got a bad hip. And it freezes up on me. And that's why I got to like move around and I walk and I talk because as soon as I sit down, it gets stiff. As soon as I kind of stand, everything starts hurting. So that's why I got to try. I keep moving. Anyway, so all the gurus love this stupid subject to and love the lease purchase. Now, why do they love it? Because this is how they like to call themselves a transactional engineer, right? How they call themselves like the guru, right? Learning how to do the front end and the back end and in the middle, get paid. Oh my God, shut up. Like the most stupid shit that I hear, all right? And let me tell you something. Lease purchase is the absolutely worst thing that you could ever do as a seller if you're trying to sell your house. It's terrible. And that's what all these clowns tell you to do. And then the next thing they tell you to do is buy it under subject to, take over somebody's payments, and then lease it under a lease purchase. Now, if you give me 1 second, I'm going to take some Tylenol, and I'm going to get into the lease purchase thing and subject to. All right. Oh, well, we're going to talk more also about. I'm going to show you his boot camp stuff. So just bear with me. I'm going to show it to you, and we'll talk about it, and then we're going to get into it. All right. I'm going to show you how all this stuff works. Because remember, I don't just tell you, I teach you. Okay. All right. So subject to and lease purchase. That's what you're going to learn at the boot camp. Now, let's talk about his real estate school, okay? Now, my document camera is not working, unfortunately, okay? So, actually, you know what I can do? If you guys bear with me for 1 minute, I can hook it up over there, and I can have this on the screen for us. So why don't you guys just hold on for 1 second, right? Just hold on. And what I can do is I can unplug it here, plug it in over there. If you just bear with me, right? I'll get it plugged in for us, and then I can show you what's on the screen. All right. So why don't we do that? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this document camera. Right. For some reason it doesn't work anymore. I'm going to take this document camera over to my laptop. Okay. I'm going to take it over there and plug it in, and then you can see the boot camp yourself as well, all right? So hold on, everybody. Hold on, everybody. Isn't that a song, Hold On, Everybody? I don't know. I think it's a song. But, all right, let me hook this up, and then we'll put on Ron LeGrand's show, and we're going to talk about his boot camp, what you're going to learn, what he talks about, and then I'm going to break the real truth down. Then we're going to talk about his gold club. All right, because we have the gold club and all that stuff too. So we're going to get into all of it. All right, but like my wife said, no cursing. I'm not allowed to curse on this podcast. Okay, so hold on, everybody. Give me 1 second while I put this camera up. We'll get it working. We'll get it on, and we'll get it working. And if you just bear with me, Just bear with me. Just bear with me. If you just bear with me, everybody. All right, there we go. All right, I'm going to get it on for us. It's almost on, so just all right, here we go. Is the light on? All right, hold on. Trying to get it. I'm trying to get the whole paper that we can see it all, but I don't think I can get it. I don't think I can get the whole thing in there, but we'll see. Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, folks, I got it. Okay. Okay, let's go look at Ron LeGrand's boot camp. Okay, here we come. All righty, folks. My apologies about that, taking so much time. Okay, let's take a look at what you're going to learn at Ron. Now, this was Ron's 3-day boot camp. Okay, so let's take a peek at that. Here we go. All righty, here we go, folks. I think I can zoom in, if you bear with me. That's not it. Okay. I'm still learning the system, so hold on, everybody. All right. So as you can see, Ron LeGrand's three-day real estate school. Okay. This event contains behind-the-scenes secrets you'll uncover by actually getting involved in the process rather than trying to absorb a lecture. We actually teach you and coach you. Now, this one is his where you bring deals in, and he's going to show you how to structure it. Okay. But remember how he's going to structure it. He's going to do it subject to financing. Now, so let's see what he says here. So before you come, we'll send you instructions on how. Now look at this, just so you understand. Read this right here. Okay? Before you come here, listen what it says. We'll send you instructions on how to find good prospects. In this incredible 3-day event, we'll explore and learn dozens of ways to make money from these beautiful homes. Just look at the topics we'll cover. Let me ask you this. If you're a newbie, right, somebody who's just getting started out in this business, do you honestly think you're going to find out in no time what's a good property and what's not a good property? Do you honestly think that? Like you're going to all of a sudden, because he sends you instructions, is this good? Is this good? Is this good? You're insane if you think you're going to be able to find a property by him sending you instructions on what to look for. It's insane. You're not, just think about it. Do you honestly think you're going to be able to spot a good deal? I mean, oh my God. Okay. Let's take a look at what you're going to learn. Oh, what happened? Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. All right. So here's what we're talking about. Before you come, we'll send you instructions on how to find good prospects. I can only imagine. In this incredible 3-day event, we'll explore and learn dozens of ways to make money from these beautiful homes. Just look at some of the topics we'll cover. Okay, let's look at the topics and we'll go over them. Number 1, how to pre-screen callers in seconds so you deal with only the cream of the crop. We do this live while we're talking to real sellers about deals. Okay, I mean, that's easy, okay? I mean, hey, are you willing to take terms? No? Okay, goodbye. Right? I mean, you have to remember what you're doing here, folks. What you are doing here is you are looking for motivated sellers to do what he calls terms. Now, terms is basically nothing more than you dealing with the seller and creating your own terms. What are the terms? Money down, no money down. Interest rate, high, low, interest only, right? A balloon or amortize. Is it 30-year amortization, 25, 20-year, 15-year, or 30-year with a 5-year balloon, right? Is it interest only? So what is it amortized over, right? So that's the term, how long, okay? So all of these different things get negotiated, and that's the terms. Meaning that, hey, we're negotiating the terms of the contract, okay? Not hard, right? But if you don't know it, you don't know it. So there you go, okay? So now you have to pre-screen callers in seconds. And the first thing he's going to say is, hey, are you willing to do terms? So if they say no, he's going to move on, right? How to make huge profits on nice houses even when you pay almost half. I'm sorry, almost when you pay full retail. Okay. Okay, so now just so you know what he's saying, okay, so here's a house. It's $200,000 and you're going to pay $200,000. But he's telling you that you are going to make huge profits on these nice houses. All right. So, how to make the seller your partner and create nothing down, high profits, win-win killer deals. Okay, we'll talk about this one. So let's do this in blue. Okay, because we'll come back to this one. All right. How to live in a house 3 times what your banker says you can afford and pay no more than what you're paying now. Okay. This is the big one, folks. Oh, we need to do this in blue. How to avoid the due on sale costs so you can buy where others can't. And we'll talk about that. How to literally have sellers begging you to give their houses free. Many students get paid by the seller to take their house. You think so, huh? Okay. Okay, you think so. How to create monthly cash flow that can surpass your current salary and keep coming in whether you work or not. Now, this here, we all teach that, right? You know, I mean, I love cash flow. I love cash flow. All right. Okay, here's another one we'll come back to. Why only fools personally guarantee loans, right? How to take control of and profit any house regardless of underlying financing. Then you'll learn how to structure the deal so you can pass the house to your buyers without having to get them qualified for a new loan. Okay, we'll talk about this. We'll examine and practice real-world strategies, selling methods until you master them and feel comfortable making these offers on your own. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you this. Take a look at this. How many days is this? 3 days. Okay? Do you honestly think you're going to master this in 3 days? Seriously? You really think that? Okay. If you think that, I got a bridge to sell you. How to find the next home of your dreams for your family without worrying about qualifying for a loan or raising a big down payment. Many of my students buy their home while they're looking for deals. All right, we'll talk about that because all this stuff is all talking about one thing that he teaches. How to protect yourself from going in and out of real estate transactions so you can avoid costly problems. Again, all the things that we talked about up front is what he's bringing up. Learn to fast track your plan. Ditch your job within 90 days. Okay. Let me tell you something. If you quit your job in 90 days, you are an ass, a donkey, a mule, a fool, and every other dirty word I'm not allowed to say. Do not quit your job. Okay? Because if you quit your job, you're done. You're sunk, okay? Learn how to get out of consumer debt within a year, starting collecting payments instead of making them. How to make a fortune selling beautiful homes to all the people realtors and builders cast aside. How to become the gatekeeper and live your own rules and take orders from somebody else. Let me move the paper up so we can read the rest. My apologies, okay? Let's see what else it has to say. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's see what the rest of it says. It says, how to make sellers treat you like a pro even though they know you just started. So how can you be a pro when they know you just started? That makes no sense. Yeah, you're a pro, even though you got 3 days on the job, but you're a seasoned pro. You're the real deal. Okay. How to build a multi-million-dollar business from your home just by attending this class. Okay. Okay. Listen to what he said. I mean, let me ask you something. Do you honestly think that you're going to build $1 million business from your home just by going to this 3-day class? Do you honestly think that? If you think that, you deserve to get all your money stolen from you. And I don't want that to happen to you. Reality is, you're not going to build $1 million business from your home by attending this 3-day class. That's a lie. And this is why I am attacking the program. That's a lie. What he should say, listen, if Ron LeGrand would say something like this, I wouldn't be doing this video. Or I'd be saying, hey, I like Ron LeGrand. If Ron LeGrand came out and said, hey, Guys, let me come out and show you a couple of methods that you can try out. See if it works for you, right? We'll do it live in person. Before you come, I'm gonna tell you what you need to look for. If you can find a couple of them, we'll call them while you're here. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can come up with, right? And then if you're excited about it, then hey, maybe you could follow on and join my other programs, my Gold Club, where we educate you on how all this stuff works and you get a formal training. But to say stuff like this is an out and out lie. How to build $1 million business from your home just by attending this class. That's insane. No, you will never be able to do that. Okay? Let me go get the paper so I can read it over here. All right? That's insane. That's not going to happen. Okay? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Okay? Okay. You are not going to learn how to pre-screen callers in seconds. Right? Just to know the cream of the crop. I mean, not if you're going to do decent deals. What he's talking about very quickly is saying, are you willing, will you sell us your house on terms? If they say no, he's going to move on. Okay? That's what he's going to tell you to do, not me. Okay? That's what he's talking, because that's the only thing you can ask for in seconds. The only thing you could ask for, would you willing to accept terms? And they're going to ask you what kind of terms. And you're going to say something stupid like this. Well, I'm going to take over your payments. And they're going to say, oh, really? Okay, well, that sounds interesting. Then what? You know, well, we're going to get into subject 2. Don't worry. Okay? But let's go back to the other ones that I said I would go back to. All right? Okay. You cannot, I'm just telling you, you cannot, this is why I'm attacking it, because it's lies. All right? God. Okay. Do you honestly think this one, right? And then we'll talk about the dual and sale. This one here says this one, all right? Well, how to avoid the dual and sale. We're going to get into that. How to literally have sellers begging to give you their house free. Many students get paid by the seller to take their house. Do you honestly think a seller is going to pay you to take their house? Do you think that? Do you honestly think, would you? I'm doing everything I can not to have a hissy fit, okay? There's no seller in this world that is going to pay you to get out of their house, okay? No seller is going to beg you to take their house for free. For free. Are they going to beg you to get a deal done? Yeah, when they're motivated enough. Are they going to pay you? No. I mean, would you? No. Okay? Oh, my God. Okay. Why only fools personally guarantee loans and how you can avoid this unnecessary liability and risk. Okay. He's talking about putting property into a trust. Okay? Now, one of the reasons why he's talking about that, because all this plays in hand, all this plays together. What do I mean by that? Okay. What I mean by this is this. Okay? When you're doing the type of deals Ron is talking about, and he's talking about doing a subject to deal and then doing a lease purchase on the back end, okay? What happens is that there's a due on sale clause. It's in every note and in every mortgage, okay? And in it, it says that if you sell your property, I can probably pull it out and give it to you if you want to wait 1 second. I can probably pull it out and give it to you. It says that if you sell, why don't I do that? Let me pull it out. Let me pull it out. Give me 1 second, okay? And I'm going to read you verbatim of exactly what it says, okay? So this way you know. And what he is saying is this, okay? You're trying to get around a due on sale clause. And what is that? What is a due on sale clause? Okay, a due on sale clause is this. If you sell your property to somebody, so let's do it this way. You're the buyer, you're the guru that just went to Ron LeGrand's class, okay? And I hand you the keys to my property, okay? Now here's what could happen. The bank finds out that we did this transaction. How are they going to find out? Well, they can find out a few different ways. Random audit, they sell the loan, right? You're insured. They find out through the insurance. Many different ways they can find out. If they find out they can call the note due. What's the note? The note is the IOU to pay back the loan. Now, before I get into all this, let me give you an education, okay, on how it works and what this means, okay? So let's do this real quick, okay? Back to our purchase. So here you are. Oh, sorry. Let me do this in gray here. Here you are, okay? And you want to buy this house, okay? And you're going to put $5,000 down, right? The sales price is $100,000, okay? So you're putting $5,000 down. Here's the seller, okay? So you're going to give him $5,000. You go to the bank, okay? ABC Bank, okay? They lend you $95,000. So now the seller has his $100,000. The seller in turn, what's he do? He gives you the deed. You're now the owner of the property, okay? Now this bank, ABC Bank, what do? Okay, well they do this. They make you sign a note. They make you sign a mortgage, HUD-1, which is now called a closing disclosure, okay? And a bunch of other disclosures, okay? Now, this $95,000 will be a lien, a first lien, against this property, okay? Now, what is the note? The note is the IOU. IOU, Mr. Banker, $95,000 at 7% for 30 years. That's the terms. Okay, you negotiated those terms with the bank, except for they're not flexible, not like a seller, okay? You don't get to dictate the terms. The bank dictates the terms, okay? Where if you're doing creative financing, the seller and you dictate the terms, okay? So the note, that's the IOU. The mortgage, well, that's the bank security, okay? So if you don't pay this note, they can come back and get the deed and sell their property. That's the security. Now, to get the bank to lend you that $95,000, what had to happen? Okay, here's what had to happen to get that $95,000. Number one, you had to take an application. It's about 4 or 5 pages, all your personal information. You had to give the bank 2 years of your tax returns, 3 months of your bank statements, all the pages with all large deposit. It's verified, okay? And 1 month of your pay stubs. Then they pulled your credit not once but twice. Once at the time of application and once at the time of closing, just to make sure no more new debt has appeared on your credit. That's why every mortgage broker says, don't go out and buy anything until you close your loan. Okay? That's why they tell you that, because they're going to pull your credit again right before closing. They verify your job, not once but twice, once at the time and once prior to closing. Why do they do that? Well, lastly, they make you sign a 4506 or an 8821. What's that? Well, in case that you gave them fake pay stubs, fake tax returns, fake bank statements, and had Uncle Johnny down at the barbershop say, hey, Uncle Johnny, the bank's going to call. Can you tell them that I work here? Sure, Vinny, no problem. I'll tell them you work here. So it goes up. Yeah, Vinny works here. Yeah, okay. Well, Vinny signed a 4506, and they pulled my transcripts, and guess what? I didn't work at Uncle Johnny's barbershop, right? I committed bank fraud. So now you're going to be in trouble. So they can get your tax returns immediately. They do that up front to verify that you gave them legitimate stuff. That's what you have to do to get a loan. Now, the bank says this on a subject to deal. And I'll get into the actual details of the subject to, but let me just read you what the bank says, because this is important. Okay, just give me a second here. This is what the bank says. Pull it out right here. This is from an actual note. If you can see down the bottom, it's a note. And I highlighted it. So I'm going to read it to you. It's important. Now, the note is a uniform instrument with limited variations in some jurisdictions, because some are judicial states, some are non-judicial states. In a judicial state, we have the deed. So we own the house. In non-judicial states, the deed goes into a trust, hence a deed of trust or trustee, okay? In addition to the precautions given to this note holder under the note, a mortgage, a deed of trust, or security deed, right? Again, depending if you're in a judicial or non-judicial state, you're either going to get a deed or you're going to get a deed of trust, right? Okay, dated same date as this note due, protects the note holder from possible losses which might result if I do not keep the promises which I make in this note. The security instrument, that's the mortgage, by the way, the security instrument describes how and under what condition I may be required to make immediate payment in full of all amounts I owe under this note. Some of these conditions are described as follows. They're telling you, you broke your promise, and I'm going to get into it. Let me just read what it says, and then I'm going to show you how and why. If any or if all, let me repeat that. If all or any part of the property or interest in the property is sold or transferred, or if the borrower is not a natural person and a beneficial interest in the borrower is sold or transferred without the lender's prior written consent, the lender may require immediate payment in full of all sums secured by the security instrument. However, this option shall not be exercised by the lender if such exercise is prohibited by law. Meaning, listen, on a commercial loan, they can call the note due at any given time they want. In a residential note like this, they can't just call the note due at any time. They have laws to prohibit that. Commercial, it's different. In a residential loan, you have to break the contract. If they break the contract or you don't pay your loan, they're going to come and get their house back. Okay? Well, they're going to put a judgment against you. Then they're going to sell your house at a sheriff's sale. Okay? Now, let me continue. If the lender exercises this option, the lender shall give the borrower notice of acceleration. That's why it's called an acceleration clause. Hence the word due on sale. Let me continue. The notice shall provide a period of not less than 30 days from the date of the notice which is given in accordance with Section 15, within which borrower may pay all sums secured by the security instrument. So pay it off in full. We won't foreclose. If borrower fails to pay these sums prior to the expiration of this period, that's the 30 days, the lender may invoke all remedies permitted by the security instrument without further notice or demand or bar. Meaning that, listen, they don't have to go and give you all the damn notice that they had to do if you just if you missed 3 payments and they started the foreclosure. They got to give you all sorts of notices. When you do this, they don't have to. Now, what does all this mean? Okay, let's get back to the board and let me show you what that means and why you do not want to do a subject to deal. I mean, it's very simple. There's better methods out there, folks, okay? So let's talk about this, okay? Let me erase the board from last time. Now, let's show you what a subject to finance dealing really is, okay? So this is you, okay? This is the house. Let's say it's got a fair market value of $200,000. Let's say they owe $180,000. Let's say there's a PITI of $1,033 a month. And there's 24 years left. Okay? And they're paying 4%. That's the deal that they have. Now, here's Mr. Seller over here. And this is Mr. Motivated Seller. Okay? Or Mr. Desperate Seller. Okay? Now, this is how this silly subject to financing works. You guys enter into basically an agreement of sale. Okay? And then you do your due diligence and everything that you're supposed to do. Okay? Now, this right here, you are just going to take over the payments. Okay? Take over the payments. Now, let's see what this... Now, one thing in the mortgage business, everything the way that it's announced is what it really means. Subject to financing. You are taking the payments over subject to the financing that's already in place on this house. Okay? So you're taking over the payments subject to the financing. This financing is already in place. Now, the lender, the bank, Mr. Banker, remember we talked about Mr. Banker? Okay, here's Mr. Banker. Mr. Banker has a lien on this property, okay, for this amount of money. If Mr. Bank, now, all right, let me finish up with the, okay, so you take over the payments. Now, this money right here, this loan, it's staying with this borrower. It stays in their name, okay? It's very simple, folks, and let me just explain. It's that simple, okay? Subject to financing means you're taking over the payments subject to the financing that's in place. How does it work? How do you do it? Okay, this is how it works. You should immediately pull title. This way you know every borrower and every lien that's against the property, okay? That's just an examination of the title. Then you do an agreement of sale with everybody who's on it, including yourself. And then you got to get other paperwork signed. What are some of the other paperwork? Okay, you need to get a limited power of attorney signed. You got to get an authorization to release signed so you can talk to the bank and yada, 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 right? Now, once you go through the process and you go to closing, which I strongly recommend you get title insurance, right? You pay your transfer tax, and you pay your closing costs, and the deed gets transferred over to you, okay? Now you just start making these payments, okay? You add yourself to the insurance policy. The insurance policy goes from a owner's policy to a renter's policy. And then what Ron LeGrand and all the other gurus are going to tell you to do is do a lease purchase option. Now we're getting into that in a minute, okay? Now, so you're like, okay, look how easy this is. All you did was take over somebody's payments. Isn't this beautiful? And what they're saying is this: on these big, beautiful houses, they just want to give it away. They just want to give it to you. They don't care about the equity. Why would anybody care about the equity? What's the equity? The amount of money what's owed and what they owe, and all that difference in between. So if I owe 180 and it's worth 200, I got $20,000 in equity. And I swear I'm just going to give it to you because you're a nice guy and you went to Ron LeGrand's 3-day boot camp. And you sound just like a pro. And I'm going to help you become a multimillionaire just working from your house, right? So I want to give you my 20 grand and the keys to my house. Oh, don't worry about the loan that's going to stay in my name. That's okay. Oh, but, well, Mr. Vinnie, I got to tell you something else. If the bank finds out about this, like we just talked about, they can call the note due. Well, what does that mean? That means, well, if they find out, they can tell us that if we don't pay them in full the whole amount that we owe them, that they're going to foreclose, but they're going to give us 30 days. Now, listen, a good attorney can delay that, right? Because if you're in a judicial state, you got plenty of time. But if you're not in a judicial state, you're screwed, right? You're screwed. So what do you say to Mr. Seller at that point? Now, the gurus, they twist like pretzels to get out of this due on sale clause. What do they say? Well, here's a couple of things. Well, become the property manager. Get a letter from everybody stating that you're now the property manager, just making the payments on the property. They decided to rent it out. You know, why can't everybody just do the right thing and just say this? Hey, I'm going to call the lender and get written approval from them to do this, and we'll be fine. They won't call the note due. You know why they don't do that? Because they know the lender isn't going for it. Why? Because look at the hoops that the seller had to go through just to get their loan. And you think they're not going to care? Because what the guru says is this: they only care about getting paid. They only care about getting paid. Well, if that's the case, why do they make me jump through hoops to get the money? Why don't they not care about the next guy? Because if this was true, then my mom and dad could have bought a house and I could have just been subject to financing. What do they care? The bank only cares about getting paid, right? So everybody could just be a total straw buyer for the next guy. I know people that went to prison as straw buyers. Having straw buyers, not the actual buyers. Right? I mean, what's to stop that? Okay, because the bank does care who has the loan. Right? Here's the other thing. Now this goes on a micro level or a macro level. I had this argument with in our other podcast, the guru and the other guy. I had this argument with the guru. Okay. Now we make fun of the gurus. We call it guru and the other guy because we make fun of them. It's a play on words. Okay. So he goes, well, the banks really only do care about getting paid. That is true. I said, yes, it's true. But let me tell you why the banks do care. Because on the macro level, here's what happens. When the bank sells the loan, which they always do, okay, new loan might get sold 5 to 10 times during the total career of the loan. Now, it might stay in one spot. I'm not saying it won't. But if it doesn't and it gets sold off many times, they got to package it up. When they package it up, they're going to audit it. And if they see that this deed holder, they can't sell it now. It's an unsellable loan, right? Because the deed owner is not the person they lent the money to. So you don't think they're going to call the note due? Of course they are, in 2 seconds flat. By the way, I have a video coming out where I call 10 of the top mortgage servicers and ask them if they would give us written permission to do subject to financing deals. You'll be interested in hearing how many people say yes. You'd be shocked, right? Maybe you won't be shocked. If you're like me, you won't be shocked. Okay, so that subject to in a nutshell is really very, very simple, okay? You're just taking somebody's payments where the loan stays in the seller's name, okay? And then you got to worry about the due on sale clause. You got to worry about them trying to qualify for a loan later on, because all of them say, oh, no, Vinny, they can still qualify as long as you prove that somebody's paying. That's not true either. All the stuff that these gurus say is not true, and I back it up by facts. Okay, I have the Fannie Mae rules, and what am I talking about? Okay, when you're doing a subject to financing deal, and the person who's selling you the house, Mr. Desperate Seller, says, listen, in 2 years, I'm going to be back on my feet. I'm going to want to buy a house. Are you going to have this paid off in 2 years? And they're going to say, nah, probably not, maybe 5. And you're like, well, what happens when I want to buy a house? Here's what they all say, just so you know. They say, well, as long as you can prove that you're not making the payments, you can qualify, right? Meaning this. Let me show you. Let's get back to the big board and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, let me erase this first. Okay, this is called a debt-to-income ratio, DTI. This is a ratio that you have to qualify with all the debts in your name. How does it work? So it's PITI plus all your monthly debts, right? Your minimum monthly payments. And then you got to divide that by your gross monthly income. And that's got to be 40% or less, okay? That's how you qualify. That's a DTI, debt-to-income ratio, in a nutshell, right? Now, what happens if you've got an extra $1,033 mortgage payment on top of all your other debt? Well, the gurus say as long as you can prove that somebody else is making the payments, it won't count against you. Now, I say, oh, no. Again, Mr. Guru is wrong, right? Mr. Guru is wrong, okay? Now, how do I know? Okay, here's why. This here, if you can see, is Fannie Mae guidelines. And I'm going to pull this up. Just bear with me for 1 second. I'm going to pull it up here on the screen, right? We don't need the document camera for this. Okay, let's go. We're just going to type in Fannie Mae, Fannie Mae, Fannie Mae, Fannie Mae. Fannie Mae is MAE, by the way. Debts paid by others. Okay. Now this is saying the seller, again, what this is the seller is saying, hey, in 2 years I'm going to be back on my feet and I want to buy a house. And the guru is saying, listen, as long as you can prove that I'm making the payments, it won't count against your debt to income. And again, I have to prove them wrong. That is not true. Okay? Debt paid by others. Okay? Here we go. This is, by the way, just so you know, this is right on, as you can see, right here, Fannie Mae's website. Okay? Okay, so debt paid by others. Here we go. All right, now, this here is what they're talking about. This is called non-mortgage debt, okay? Non-mortgage debt. That's like me co-signing for my son's car loan, okay? My son wants to go buy a truck. It's $1,000 a month, right? Now, I don't have to qualify as long as I can prove that my son is making the payments, okay? That's what's it say. This policy is applicable whether or not the party is obligated on the debt, but it's not applicable if the other party's interest party, such as a seller, real estate agent. Non-mortgage debts, including installment loans, student loans, revolving accounts, lease payments, right? See below for treatment of payments under federal tax installments. Now, that's non-mortgage debt, okay? And again, let's read the top line. When a borrower is obligated on a non-mortgage debt but is not the party who's actually repaying the debt, the lender may exclude the monthly payment from the borrower's recurring monthly obligations. Okay? That's the line they're talking about, right? When a borrower is obligated on a non-mortgage debt, but is not the party actually repaying the debt, the lender may exclude the monthly payment from the borrower's recurring monthly obligations. The monthly obligations meaning the DTI, debt-to-income ratio. Okay? Now, let's talk about this right here. When the borrower is, that's a big word for two letter, is obligated on a mortgage debt, but it's not the party who's actually repaying the debt. The lender may exclude all the housing expenses from the borrower's recurring monthly obligations if, another big word for two letters, this big if here. Now, I'm going to go start at the bottom. If the borrower is not using rental income from the property to qualify. Now, what does that mean? Okay, you take the property from me. Okay, I was the seller. Now, I say to you, I want to go buy a property in 2 years. You say, Vinny, don't worry about it. As long as you can prove that I'm making the debts, you can still qualify. Okay, well, the first rule says this on mortgage debt. The borrower's not using rental income. All right, well, I'm not getting any rent from your property. You took it from me. You're not paying me any rent. All right, check. I'm good. Okay, so that's good to go. Good to go. Next one, there's no delinquencies in last 12 months. Good to go. Okay, so far we're 2 for 2 because you've paid it on time. I'm happy, right? Why? Because the loan's still in my damn name. Okay, that's not a curse word. Now, this is the problem right here. The party making the payments is obligated on the mortgage debt. Let's read that again, folks. The party making the payments is obligated on the mortgage debt. Do you understand this? If you don't, let me explain it. Okay, here we go. The party, meaning you took the property from me. The party making the payments, meaning you're making a payment, is obligated on the mortgage debt. What's the mortgage debt? The note and the mortgage. Did you pay it? Were you on the original signatures? No. No, you were not. When did you sign my note and mortgage? You didn't. So you are not obligated on the mortgage debt. So what does that mean? That means I am now stuck with that in my qualifying ratios. So I can't qualify for another house because now my ratio is 65. It's way over the 40 because I got a $1,033 mortgage payment that you took over. But the gurus all say as long as you can prove you're not making the payments, that's non-mortgage debt. Car loans, student loans, credit card, things like that. See, I've been doing this a long time. I just don't say things. I back it up right from Fannie Mae's websites. I don't make stuff up. I don't make stuff up. It kind of slipped out. I caught it, right? Now, so they talk about doing subject to financing, right? Putting no money down. And I want to ask you this question. Would you give the keys to your property, here you go, to somebody you don't know, and you took a 3-day Ron LeGrand class so you sound like a bumbling fool, right? Could you imagine some newbie trying to talk to me about taking over my payments? I mean, come on, seriously. Okay, but you sound like a pro. Remember, Ron LeGrand said that you were going to sound like sellers are going to treat you like a pro even though that you just started. Even when they know you so you're a pro. And so, Mr. Pro, could you imagine this? What do you think a seller, just put yourself in the seller's shoes. I come to you, and say, hey, I'm going to take over your payments, right? I got you out of this. I got you covered, right? Loan's going to stay in your name. You got to worry about the due on sale clause. Yes, you still got to qualify for a loan with this debt in your name, but I got you out of your issues. Would you do that deal? Would you do that? Would you sign over your house? No. So why is some other seller going to do it? Because Ron LeGrand tells you it's going to happen in his 3-day boot camp? You're out of your mind. And do you think they're going to do it with no money? Do you honestly think that someone's going to do this with getting no money out of their deal? He says yes. Now, what else does he say? Why only fools personally guarantee loans and how you can avoid this necessary liability and risk forever? Okay, what he's talking about is putting deals into a trust. Now, if you've got a lot of assets, then yeah, I say use a trust. Okay? Let's get into some other ones that we said we were going to talk about. How to literally have sellers begging you to give you their house. No, you're never going to get a seller to beg you. Trust me. They're just going to hire a realtor. Oh, my God. Oh, man. All right. How to protect yourself getting out of real estate transactions so you can avoid costly problems. Again, it's the getting it in a trust. Okay. So now, let me show you how they plan on doing these deals. Okay? And this is what you're going to learn over three to 4 days. Okay? So let's get into this real quick. All right? So now, let me show you what... sorry. Let me show you how they like to structure their deals and what you're going to learn, okay? So here's a house. That's not a nice color. So here's the house, okay, with a fair market value, $500,000. Seller owes $300,000. Okay? PITI, I don't know, we'll just say 33, okay? With 23 years left, okay? Now, what they say to do is this, okay? Let me just kind of do this real quickly. So they say, this is the seller, that you do subject to financing with the first, this $300,000 in this year, okay? Subject to with that. Then you got to worry about the $200,000 they want. Then what you do after the fact is you go ahead and you resell it using a lease purchase option, okay? So that's what they talk about transactional engineering, right? Meaning that you are going to take over somebody's property subject to the financing that's already in place, so you're just taking over payments. Then you're going to resell it. You're going to resell it under a lease purchase option. Okay. I'm not going to blow a corker. I'm going to be calm, and this is what I'm going to say, okay? If anybody ever owned real estate in their life, ever, they would learn that this is the worst way of doing it. Why? All right, I'm going to tell you. I've owned hundreds of properties, and here's what I can tell you. Every time I've rented a property to somebody with bad credit, I got burnt. Every single time. Now, why do I bring up bad credit? Okay, let me explain lease purchases to you. There's only 3 types of people that need a lease purchase. Okay? And why is this important? Because again, at this boot camp, you're learning subject to financing and lease purchases. Okay? Because you're going to buy the property under a lease purchase option and then you're going to sell it on, you're going to buy it under subject to and sell it under a lease purchase option. Okay? Now, let me explain something to you. There's only 3 types of people that ever need to do a lease purchase. Okay? The first set of people is the people who have no money. Okay? They have no money. So don't think you're getting any money down at all because they have no money. They do it because they're hoping to get a seller's credit for a couple $100, whatever they can get a month so that they can save for a down payment. Now, here's the problem with that. Nobody knows the guidelines, right? They don't know that they only get credit for anything they have to pay over fair market value, which means you got to do basically an appraisal up front with a fair market rental analysis so that you know what the fair market rent is. Then you know how much you got to save. You divide that by the number of years that this lease is, and that's how much you have to pay over and above your rent so that this way it's a forced savings plan. That never happens. They never close. So those people, they're never going to buy your house. Okay. Second set of people are the self-employed. Okay. They do a lease purchase. Now, you might get money down from them. Okay. You could probably get money down from them. But here's the problem with them. They may or may not have good credit. But here's the issue. They never will fix their tax returns because they're not going to not pay the government federal taxes and all the other taxes. Then all of a sudden they're going to buy a house and then start paying taxes and then go back to paying none. Their accountant's going to tell them absolutely not. No way, no how, because you're going to get audited nonstop. So they never close. Now, if you want to be a JO, and I'm not cursing, so if you want to be a JO or an a-hole, right, and take somebody's money knowing full well they're never going to close and then kick them out in 2 years after their 2-year balloon is up because they can't go get a loan. If you think that you're going to just steal their money and kick them out and do it again, because that's what they teach you, just kick them out and do it again, you're in for a rude awakening because you're going to be going to court. Because if you think they're just going to hand you $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, and then they can't get a loan and think that you're going to keep it, their money, when they can't go buy a house, and you don't think they're going to fight for it, you're out of your mind. Trust me, they're hiring an attorney, and then you're going to court. And then because you took a money down, it's going to go to the higher courts. This isn't going to be an eviction. You're not going to go get an eviction or an ejectment. Neither one of them are happening. You're going to go for a full-blown foreclosure because now they're claiming equitable ownership because they have money in this property. And only the judge is going to say yes or say no. And trust me, if you're in a judicial state, that's going to take 2 years. And that guy's going to be living in that house, not paying you a penny for 2 years. And I hope that $30,000 down payment was worth it. And I hope you didn't spend it because now you got a house subject to financing that somebody's living there rent-free because you did a lease purchase when Vinnie told you not to, but Ron LeGrand told you how great it is. Okay? I am telling you, I've been through this more than one time. Not only that, I've helped out many people in the same situation because people know that I'm in this game. They always call for my advice. Hey, Vinnie, what? You're done. You should never do a lease purchase up front and never get such a large deposit. Because if they don't go to closing, they're going to claim equitable, not them, their attorney is going to claim equitable ownership, and you got to go in front of a judge, and they're going to take it to foreclosure. You're going to have to go in front of that, and you're going to be out of payments for 2 to 3 years. You don't think it's going to happen? Just go try it. And then when it happens, I told you so. And I'm not trying to tell you I told you so, but I'm telling you so. So that's the second set of people that need a lease. Now let's go to the third set of people that need a lease purchase. They're the ones that have bad credit. Now you're going to get money from them too, right? Because they got bad credit and you want money from them, right? Why? Because here's what's going to happen. In 6 months, you're not getting paid. Now remember, the self-employed people, they're paying you, right? But they can never go to closing because they never fix their tax returns. It's just that when you go to kick them out, right, they're going to fight you for their money back. And you already spent it, okay? So it's going to be a big problem. Trust me, it's going to be a big problem. So the people with bad credit, now you can get money from them, but what's going to happen? Well, in 6 months, they're going to stop paying you. But they're going to talk to you, and they're going to apologize. Trust me, I've been through this more than one time. They're going to apologize. Oh, Vinnie, I'm sorry. This happened. Most of the time was their mother got sick or their mother passed away. I mean, it's horrible to say stuff like that, but that's what they're going to say. Sorry, Vinnie, my mom's been in the hospital. And you're going to feel, listen, man, let's take care of your family. Try to get me the payment before the end of the month. I got to make the mortgage payment myself, right? I feel for you, but we all got to pay our bills, right? But bless your mom. I hope she's okay. Now, you get paid the day before the last day of the month. You're like, thank God I got paid, right? But guess what? Tomorrow's the new month. And if you think you're getting paid tomorrow too, you're out of your mind. Doesn't happen. So what happens? You will talk to them again one more time, and they're going to apologize. Vinnie, sorry. Listen, just give me a week to get caught up. I'm back to work. Everything's fine. Things are going good. I'll get caught up, right? Nothing comes. Vinnie, I'm sorry. Check's going to be in the mail for you next week. All right, I'll be looking for that check. Thanks, man. Check never comes. Yo, can you direct deposit that check? It's getting near the end of the month again. And then that's it. You don't hear from them. And then you text them and call them and text and call. Yo, man, come on. Right? And then if you're smart, after the first 30 days, you'll send a pay or quit. But just remember, you took a large deposit under lease purchase option. So be prepared to take this all the way to court again, just like the self-employed people, because they're going to hire somebody and they're going to fight you tooth and nail. Because A, you took money from them up front, right? And they're not going to go peacefully. Trust me when this happens all the time. Now, there might not be bad people. They just have bad habits. They never close. And if you don't believe me, just look at, was it Blackstone or BlackRock? Let me tell you in 1 second. Is it Blackstone or BlackRock? I'll tell you in 1 second, right? And what happened to them? Okay, so Blackstone or BlackRock, who purchased Home Partners of America? Home Partners. Oh, let me see real quick, okay? Now, let me tell you what happened here. Okay, let me tell you what happened here, okay? So Blackstone paid $6 billion for Home Partners of America. For what? Well, these people would go buy single families and sell them under a lease purchase option, right? And what I tell you, lease purchase options, I would have saved them $6 billion and said, that's the worst thing in the world. Stay away. What happened? It completely failed. They sold the company and lost billions of dollars. And one of the articles flat out says they had more, let me see if I can find it real quick. They had more evictions than they did closings. Okay? See if I can find it real quick. I'm only going to look for a quick second. Right? Let me see if I have it. Right? So they literally had more. Okay, here we go. They sold it for a couple $1 billion, but they lost. Okay, let me see here. Oh, that's not the right one. Hold on. God darn it. I have the article somewhere in here. Is this it? Here we go. Blackstone shuts down Home Partners single families part, right? They're pulling the plug on Home Partners of America after years of expansion in the single family rental market. It's shutting down its Home Partners and transforming it out of the business, right? They sold it for $3.5 billion. They paid $6 billion. They lost $2.5 billion on doing these lease purchases. The result will result in the closure of Home Partners headquarters, lay off 180 employees, was acquired in Blackstone for $6 billion, adding $17,000 homes, right? The shutdown follows criticism of Home Partners rent-to-own programs, which had low conversion rate and face scrutiny over evictions. Because they don't close, right? For these reasons that I'm telling you, right? They don't close. And that's the position that this person wants to put you in. Buy it under subject to and sell it under a lease purchase. I'm telling you, I've got 40 years experience. I've owned hundreds of homes. I am telling you, I've had these people in my house and they don't pay. And if you go to a boot camp and you do what these guys are telling you to do, you're going to be in a bad situation. Unless you got a ton of money, I was going to say a bad word, unless you got a ton of money to back yourself up that you can continue to make the payments because you just took somebody's property subject to financing and don't listen to the, oh, we'll just give the deed back. No, don't be that type of investor. If you're going to be that type of investor that just hands the deed back to the seller because they called a no-do, you're worthless. Get out of the business. Don't be in the business. Learn how to do things the right way, and this isn't the right way. This is the dumbest way to do investing I've ever heard of. And guess how much this is? This isn't $5,000 anymore, okay? This stuff is, let's look it up. You don't have to believe me, right? It's $6,000, $5,500. Live training events. It's now 4 days, right? 4 days. How much? It was here the other day, right? It was $5,500. Let's see. More information. It's not telling us. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Register now. Let's see. Pulling it up. Okay. Quick Start Real Estate School. 4-day intensive hands-on training includes live seller. Basically the same thing I just talked about, except for it's a day more, right? 4 days with Ron LeGrand and his hand-picked faculty. I mean, who cares? Hand-picked faculty. Who cares? Free tuition for qualified guests. That's your spouse, right? Qualified. That means your spouse. Pretty house terms. The pretty house term situation is exactly what we said. Subject to financing with a lease purchase option. Trust me, I know exactly what it is. Wholesale retail. That means you're wholesaling homes. Doesn't work. Wholesaling is a clown show. 90-day helpline. Let me tell you something, folks. Let me tell you this. He can give you a 6-month hotline. It doesn't matter, okay? Listen to me. Most of you people out there, most, not all, have a job, have kids, have a family, and just looking for relief. How many hours a day do you think you're going to put to this? So you're going to go to this boot camp. You're going to spend $6,000. You're going to be all pom-pom motivated up. You're going to go make 10 calls. You're going to get hung up on 10 times. You're going to be so frustrated that you're going to give up. This helpline, he can say it's a 9-year helpline. Okay? Doesn't matter. You might call and say, hey, how do I talk to them? Hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? Right? That's not what this helpline is. They're going to help you structure the deal. Okay? Ooh, you get the all-purpose event manual. Ooh, oh my God, that's worth $5,000 right there, the event manual. Pre-training, right? Pre-training on bringing leads to the work. He just told us what it was on the other thing, right? He's going to tell you, okay, how to do it. I mean, go find a property, bring it to the class, right? I'll show you how to put it together. Oh my God. Let me tell you this one here. This, if you need this, you're worthless. If you need a script, you're worthless. It's not about scripts. It's being able to communicate with a seller, going with the flow and talking about a property, right? And listen, I do calls all the time, and we record them, videotape them, record them, so my students can learn from them, okay? After the first year, you may return for only $500 per event. Free repeats for 1 year. Listen, there's only so much you can learn from subject to financing, okay? Now, let's see how much it is. Let's take a look, okay? To learn subject to financing. How much is it, right? Let's see. Oh, it's only, look at this. It's only $5,500 or $2,000 today and $4,000 later. So that's $6,000, right? For what? To learn this silly program, subject to? Trust me, right? I told you they sprinkle in wholesaling. You're not going to, unless you're in the inner city or your resort area, wholesaling is not going to work for you. Okay, if you're in a resort area, go for it. You can make a lot of money. If you're in the inner cities, again, you can make some money, right? You got to do a lot of properties to make a lot of money because you're only going to make $3,000 to $5,000 per flip. Right? Because I have a student that uses wholesalers. He's in the inner city, okay? He makes a good money. He pays his guys about $3,000 to $5,000 per deal. He did pay one person like $8,000. They were like ecstatic. They were jumping over the moon, right? So $6,000, right? Or if you pay immediately, it's $5,500 if you pay in full, right? To learn subject to and lease purchase options that I am telling you, you're going to get burned on. Now, let me explain subject to a little bit more for you, okay? Let me do this for you, all right? Subject to financing is very simple, okay? And I can put this up on a board real quick. Let me do this for you, right? Let me show you something. I'm going to show you, my apologies. I'm going to show you, come on. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you what one of my students did. He wasn't my student at the time. He saw me speak at an engagement, right? And at this engagement, I talked about subject to. And he says, yeah, I did a subject to deal. And I said, yeah, they probably laughed at you, right? No. They didn't laugh at me. I said, oh, really? They didn't laugh at you? No, really? For real? He's like, yeah, I'm serious. They didn't laugh at me. I'm like, all right, well, tell me the deal, right? And I said, we'll talk about it later. Well, he wound up becoming a private student of mine, right? And we talked about his deal. So let me set this up for you, okay? Let me set this deal up for you. And then I'm going to teach you subject to financing in a nutshell, all right? So here's the deal. So this house, oh, what happened here? Why is it red? Right? Okay. All right. So this is a 5-unit. Okay. And then there was another 5-unit. So this is what we call the sister property. Okay. This is a 5-unit too. Okay, so we get 2 5-units. One is the sister property to the other one. Now, my students already purchased this one. They want to go buy this one. Okay? They bought one, they want to buy another. Now, this is a prim and proper, white-collar couple, suit and tie, dress, right? This is how they showed up at, seminar that I gave. Now, when they became a student of mine, we talked about their deal. And I said, listen, don't tell me the numbers. Just tell me the structure of the deal. So he said, this is what he wanted. The ask was $500,000. That was the ask price. He owed $300,000. Okay. Now I said, listen, that's all I need to know. Don't tell me the monthly payments or anything else like that. I don't need to know that. All right. Now here's what I'm going to tell you, folks. Let me show you how this stuff works. Okay. When you're doing subject to financing, okay, the sellers, the only thing they have in the deal, the only thing a seller has in the deal is the equity, right? The difference between what is owed and what it's worth. What is owed and what it's worth. That's the equity. And in this case, it's $200,000, okay? So now, let me tell you the story, and then I'll tell you how I said that they structured it, and then I'll tell you how it actually got structured, okay? So, like I told you, they already bought this property, okay? They bought this one, okay? They wanted to buy the sister property. Now, they ran out of money after they purchased this one. So, they were looking around, and they found somebody down in Philadelphia. I live in the suburbs of Philly, by the way. They found somebody in Philadelphia to go teach subject to financing. They never heard of it. So they go down there, free class. And he said, listen, we're trying to buy this property. And they taught him subject to financing. And he said, Vinnie, let me tell you this story. He goes, I called the guy immediately and said, hey, I want to put an offer on the property. The guy says, well, listen, I'm going away for 2 weeks. I promise I won't take a call. When I get back, you got first crack at it. I'd love for you guys to buy it because you got my other one. I'd love to keep it in the family. I was in my family for a long time. I'd love to keep them together, and I'd love for you guys to have them. And he says, that sounds great. I'll see you in 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, he practiced subject to financing, how he was going to talk to them. He practiced it with his wife, and they couldn't believe it. This is the best thing since sliced bread. They're like, oh my God, we're going to be so rich. We could buy so many properties. This is unbelievable. They were ecstatic on cloud 9. They couldn't believe this was out here. Okay. I said, here's the way that you structured your deal. Okay. He said, Vinnie, for 2 weeks, I practiced this on my wife. We were convinced this house was sold. I said, okay, here's how you did it. Or try to do it. $300,000 subject to financing. Take the payments over. Okay? The $200,000, the equity, right? That he wants $500. He owes $300, right? So the equity, you did a seller second. Meaning that the seller is going to hold the paper. 10%, 5-year balloon, interest only. That's how you structured it. He goes, well, you're close. He's like, I certainly wasn't going to offer 10. He goes, I offered 6%. Interest only? Yeah. Okay. And what happened? The guy just said kindly, listen, thank you for your offer. Thanks for coming by, but I'm not, not interested. I said, okay. Now let's recap what happened here. Okay? Just now, I want you to do what I teach. I want you to put yourself in the seller's shoes, not in the buyer's shoes, because here's what happens. They went down to the guru, and the guru showed them from the eyes of the buyer, look at all you got to do. This is it. This is how you do the offer. They're like, this is unbelievable. And when you talk yourself into it as a buyer, of course it is. Now, put yourself in the seller's shoes, because the seller's the one that says yes or say no. So now you have a house, right, that you're selling for $500,000. You owe $300 on it, so you're expecting to get $200,000. You don't have a realtor involved. You're selling it for sale by owner, right? You're smart enough as an investor, not to use a realtor, those check chasers. So you get this taken over by subject to financing. So now somebody's taking our deed. Let's say we're a partner, okay? So somebody comes in, we owe $500,000 together. Somebody comes in and takes our deed. And now they're just making our monthly payments on the house. But the $200,000, we're going to get 6% for 5 years. Now, are you going to accept that deal? Oh, and by the way, the loan stays in our name. By the way, this is a commercial property. By the way, they will call the note due in seconds flat without any hesitation. They don't have to wait. They can call the note due for any reason. And trust me, the commercial lenders, they stay on top of their stuff. They don't just sit around and hopefully nobody finds it. Oh, they're finding it. Oh, trust me, they're finding it. Oh, and trust me, they're calling the note due. If you don't believe me, I'll have my brother-in-law in, who's the vice president of a major bank of commercial lending. Okay? By the way, I trained him. He was a bartender before he, so I'm the guy that got him in this position. Anyway, so now, are you going to do that deal? Hell no, you're not doing a deal. Why? Because you're expecting to get $200,000, and what happened? The loan's still in our name, right? The $200,000, we got nothing but lint in our pocket, meaning no money. We got the little fuzzballs at the bottom of it. We're so piss poor broke. We got no money, and the loan's in our name, and then the bank, as soon as they find out we did this, they're going to call the note due. Of course we're not doing this. Get out. Now, I showed him a different creative financing method where he was convinced that would have gotten done, and I said, whoa, hold your horses here, brother. You had a better chance at my method, no doubt. But it doesn't mean he would have done it, because he might just want his $200,000 and that's it. You got to understand, he's got to be a motivated guy, motivated enough to do creative financing and got to take terms. He probably doesn't want to do that at all. He wants his $200,000 and on his way. He's not going to wait it. Now with mine, he would have been paid off way sooner than what they were doing it, but it doesn't mean it would have got done. Now here's the story. He learned something new. And he's like, Vinnie, he goes, I swear, when I learned subject to, I thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. Now that I met you and I've been in your class for a couple of weeks and I learned all these other different things, like I am so embarrassed that I made that. He called me up in the middle of the night, all like half in a stupor. And he said, Vinnie, there's no doubt he laughed at me, because I'm laughing at myself now. I was like, I'm embarrassed that I presented that offer. I said, don't be embarrassed. At least you got up to the plate and you took a shot. I mean, I could have told you it was going to be a swing and a miss, but you didn't know that. But you learned something, right? Right? That not every guru that sells you something is actually true. Okay? So he goes, Vinnie, I have to be honest with you. He goes, there's no doubt. He's like, he's laughing at me because I can't believe I made that offer. And he goes, me and my wife, now we know what we know. We can't even believe that we were so naive to think that this is something that we would have done. When you taught us the first rule of thumb is put yourself in the seller's shoes, would we do this deal? We said no. Both of us said absolutely not. We would never do something like that. So you're right. Why would a seller do it? If we're not going to do it, why would a seller do it? Because Ron LeGrand says he'll do it? No, it's not the case, my friends. So now, let me just tell you about the seller and subject to financing, okay? Let me erase this real quick. And then let me say this, okay? On a subject to financing deal, there's only one thing the seller has in the deal. One thing. That's the equity, okay? So like in this transaction that we just talked about, right? this transaction that we just talked about, what do we have here, right? We had, let me just put my logo back up on the screen. My apologies. What do we have here, right? We had, what do we have? We had a deal where the seller owed $300,000. I'm going to put it up on this other board, okay? Give me 1 second, all right? So what we had was this, and I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to show you how kind of works, okay? So in our scenario, we had this scenario, okay? We had this house, which is 5 units, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And by the way, commercial property, anything over 4 is considered commercial, okay? So it's a different animal all to itself, okay? So you got to try and stick from 1 to 4 units. That's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, conventional conforming financing, okay? So now, in this scenario, now you can still do subject to with commercial property, though. You can do it with anything. All right, so now, the fair market value, we said was $500,000, okay? The seller owed $300,000. Now, I don't care what the payment is. None of that shit stuff matters to me, okay? Here's what matters, the equity, okay? This is the only thing the seller has in the deal, and there's $200,000 of it. Now, this guy was a smart guy. He wasn't hiring a realtor. Why? Because he knows he doesn't need one. He's just signing an agreement of sale and doing title. It's not that hard to get payoffs and tax certs and floods. Not that hard. Okay? You don't need a realtor. Trust me, you don't need a realtor. And, you know, me and my wife, we rarely ever used a realtor. Okay? Now, we used them as like, just to help out friends and give them a bone, but we didn't need them. Okay? I can't tell you how many standard agreement of sales I've done over the careers and other contracts I've done over the years. Okay, now, here's what we're dealing with. We are dealing with this right here. Okay? This is all the seller has in the deal. The seller only has one thing. The seller has equity. They don't care about anything else. They want their money. So now, how do you do a deal subject to financing? Now, you're very rarely ever going to get it with no money down. Okay? It's not going to happen unless they owe the same amount that's the house is worth. Meaning this, what do I mean by that? Okay, let's just go to another page. Okay? So let's just take a single family house with a fair market value of, let's say $330,000. Let's say they owe $321,000. Okay? Well, this you can do subject to financing. Why? Because the seller has nothing in it. There's no equity. But if you know the market, you know your fair market rents, and you do a fair market rent analysis, you can rent it out, right? Maybe he's got an interest rate at 4% on this. Maybe, okay, he owes $321, but maybe it's at a low interest rate and his payment's low. And you can make $500, $700 a month in rent, okay? And it's in a nice neighborhood, and he just wants to get out. Okay, well, there you go. You could do that. But you have to worry about what? The due on sale clause. How are you going to get out of it if the bank calls to no due? Okay, so there's a scenario there where, yeah, you could do it with no money down. Now, remember this, though. Let me teach you this. You're always going to need money in this deal. It's going to be needed. You need money to do subject to financing. Okay? You need money. What do you need money for? Okay, let me explain what you need money for. Number one, a title search. Why do I need a title search? You need to know who's on the deed. You need to know who's owed on it. You need to know. This is ultra important. You do this before anything. Number two, you need to get a home inspection. I don't care if you're flipping it. Well, if you're just flat out flipping it immediately, you know, whatever. But you should always get a home inspection. Why? Know what you're buying. Know if there's big issues with the property. Always do a home inspection. If you buy property without a home inspection, you're silly, unless you're a contractor. Okay? If you're not a contractor, you better be doing a home inspection. Okay? So title search, home inspection. Next thing you need that's going to cost you money out of your pocket is title insurance. Okay? You need to get title insurance. Do not do a quick claim deed. Do not do what we call a quick claim deed. Quick claim is for divorcees, right? Husband and wife. Husband gets a trophy wife. He says, go ahead, you keep the house. I'll sign it over to you. What's he signing? He's just signing the deed off his name. He's signing off his name. So the wife has it. Now, he goes with a trophy wife. Guess what? Can he qualify without that loan being in his name? You're right. Why? Because the wife who now has it, she signed the mortgage. So they're both on it. So that's when you do a quick claim deed. That's what Subject 2 was created for. Not for this. Not for this. Right? So you do not do a quick claim deed. Okay? You get title insurance. So you need money for that. Then you need money for transfer tax. What's transfer tax? Anytime you transfer the deed from one person to the next, you got to pay well, I'll do a dollar deed transfer. No, you won't, because they'll go off the assessed value. Now, that's cheaper than the actual sales price, yes. Right? Now, in my state, where I live, it's customary, it's paid 1 and 1. It's 2% total, 1% from the buyer, 1% from the seller. If you think you're going to do Subject 2 financing and have the seller pay transfer tax, you're out of your mind. So you're going to be responsible for the 2%. Okay? Now, in Philadelphia, it's like 4.25%. So depending on where you're doing this, you better check for transfer tax in that neighborhood, because it could cost you some serious money. So now, title search, home inspection, title insurance, transfer tax, then you got to pay all the recording fees. Okay? You got to record the deed in the courthouse. You got to record everything in the courthouse. Okay? So now the title search, that's only going to cost you $100 to $200 at the most, maybe $300 if you use somebody that charges a lot of money. Home inspection is going to cost you $500, $600, $700, depending on how big the house is. The title insurance, you figure about 1% of the loan amount, maybe a little bit more, right? The transfer tax is going to be 2% of the sales price, maybe more, right? And recording fees are going to be about $300 to $400, if that, not even that, right? Because you're not recording a whole mortgage document, you're not recording the note or the mortgage, because that's already recorded. You're just recording the deed, so maybe $100 you'll get away with. So it's still not a no money down deal. I mean, it's no money down, but you got to come with money. So back to page 1, though, what we're talking about up here is this, is that, okay, how are you going to pay this equity? That's what we got to deal with. How do we pay? How do we cover this amount? Okay? Remember, this is all they have in the deals, is $200,000. So how are we going to cover it? Okay, here's what we're going to do. Okay, here's what we're going to do. If I can get to it. Hello? All right, let's go right here. Let's go to this page. Okay, here's how you got to do it. So how do we take care of the equity? Well, number 1 is you just pay it. Right? With cash, credit cards, right? Borrowed funds. However you can get it, you just borrow it. You pay it off, right? What am I talking about? Well, this here, $500,000 is the sales price. $300,000 is owed, and we're taking this subject to the financing. So we're taking this over. We're taking this payment over. So we got to deal with the $200,000. So we can pay it. Now, if my student, well, he wasn't my student at the time, but my now current student, if he paid the $200,000, would the guy have done it? Yeah, maybe. Maybe if he got all of his money, he would thought about doing subject to. Most likely not, because he's thinking in his head they could call the note due at any time, and I don't want that, right? So, but he had a better chance than a no money down deal. Okay, so you could pay it. Number two, what can you do with number two? Okay, this is what we call the seller carryback. Seller carry, right? Seller takes a note. Seller holds the paper. However you want to say it. And all you're doing is you're creating terms. Okay? Now, what did I say the terms were? I said interest only, 10%, 5-year balloon. Okay? So you're just paying interest for 5 years, and then the whole $2,000 is due. Okay? And I'm paying 10% interest only. No principal's being reduced. So the payment's a lot less, and then I've got 5 years to pay it off, right? So I got to go get a loan somehow to pay it off. So this is what you have. You either got to pay it, or you got to have the seller carry. Now, what's the other way you can do it? Okay, number three is this. Number three is that you can try and have private money come in and lend you the money. What do I mean by that? Okay. If you listen to the other guru, Pace Morbley, okay, another clown, okay, we'll bury him soon too, okay? He did a video where he said, I just bought this house, not one penny out of my pocket. I didn't pay a penny out of my pocket. I did subject to financing. Didn't cost me a dime. Well, I did a video. Now, I am no social media guy. I know that I have no following. I'm not very big on social media. I get that because I just started, okay? Hopefully soon I'll be more popular than him. But right now I'm not because I'm a truth teller. I give real honest to goodness, information. Now, he went out there and said how he bought this property, no money down, and I did a video. Oh, really? Well, how'd you pay the transfer tax? How'd you pay the closing costs? How did you get the title report? They didn't charge you anything for that? So in his next videos, literally a week later, he stopped saying he didn't use any money. He started saying, none of my own money, none of my own money, none of my own money. Now he says, I have a private lender that lends me the money. Now, let me tell you something. Let's go back to the banks, what we talked about, okay? Being in the first lien position, second lien position, yada, yada, yada. Now, let's get into that real quick, okay? Let's talk about that. Let's go to another page, okay? Now, again, we're talking about getting a second lien. Why? Because if we go back to this 5-unit, right? ABC Bank, they have a lien for how much? $300,000. Okay? They are in the first lien position. Okay? And now we got to pay the $200,000. So either we got to pay cash, right? Or the seller holds the second, and he would be in the second lien position. Or what do? We get a private lender or a hard money loan, right? That's what you would think, right? Okay. Here's the problem with that. You will not find a private lender or a hard money lender to go into the second lien position at 100% or even close to that, and behind, meaning that this is number one, you're first, this is first in line, second lien, which means you're behind the first, right? You're behind a subject to financing loan. So there's not a private lender or a hard money lender in this country that will ever go into the second lien position at that high LTV, right, behind a subject to financing deal. Now, Vinnie, you said that they went in the second lien position. Again, let me explain my deal. Number one, I borrowed 50 and paid back 50 in 30 days. The guy literally drove to my house and picked up the check and said, anytime you need to borrow money, you call me. I said, my friend, I'm not saying his name. I know his name. I said, my friend, listen to me. I will never call you again. Matter of fact, I don't even know who you are. The second that I handed you that check, I forgot what you were, who you are. I will never make that mistake again. Listen, I appreciate everything that you did for me, and I thank you. You bailed me out. I appreciate it. I paid handsomely for it. I'm not going to be that dumb the second time, and I never was, right? I never put myself in that position again, right? Now, listen, I'm not blaming him. He's in business to make money, and he made money. Now, look, let's look at the situation. At $1 million loan, I borrowed another $50,000. Okay, I paid a couple $100,000 for the deal. I'm selling it for $2 million, right? I'm making money no matter what. So I made $50,000 less. Who cares, right? I cared about I cared about making money. Don't get me wrong. I wanted to make money, but I also cared about putting a killer product out there, and I did. I put a killer product out in Villanova. Villanova is also listen. Houses don't sit on the market very long, so look at the situation. I owed $1 million. The house was worth like 2.2, 2.3, maybe 2.5. Okay? $1 million was owed in Villanova with a 50% loan to value and not a subject to deal. It was a commercial. It was actually commercial financing that had a 18-month balloon, right? Now, I was only 9 months into it, right? I got it done within 12 months. Okay? So, yeah, I think we paid it off in I think that was 10 months into it. I paid it off in like month 11th or month 12th, right? I got it done before 12 months. But I had 12 months, but then it automatically you got another 6 months automatically. I think it was like a conversion fee of like $500, and you got 6 more months to pay, right? I didn't need it. I got it paid off. So you compare that to going 100% loan to value behind a subject to financing deal. There's nobody going to do that. Now, does Pace Morley have somebody? Yeah, he does, because number one, he was already a wealthy guy before he got into real estate, from what I understand. Number two, he's got all these students giving him a ton of money, okay, for no stupid reason to learn this garbage, right? So the person who's lending the money knows that, hey, you know what? I'm sure he lent him money in the past, and I'm sure they did other business in the past where he says, look, I'll lend you the money, you just pay me back, right? He doesn't care it's behind, none of that matters to him. He's not lending it to him on that house. He's lending it to him on the personal relationship that they have, okay? And unless you have somebody who has an unlimited amount of money, who doesn't care about what deals they're doing, but they care about you, and they're saying, yeah, here you go. Okay. Now, obviously, if he got the note called due, he's got enough money to pay the loan off in cash. So he's not worried about a due on sale clause. Okay? But are you going to be worried about it? Do you have enough money to pay it off in cash? Do you have enough money to go and refinance? If you don't have enough money to go and refinance this property, don't do it. If you can't qualify for a loan, don't do it. If you can't get out of the deal, don't do it, right? If you don't have access to cash, you don't have access or means to refinance and pay it off if they call the note due, don't do it. Because, listen, they might not find out that you did it. They might not find out that you did it, but they very well may. And they may call the note due. So, now, that's going to wrap it up with Ron LeGrand's boot camp. Now, if you honestly think that you're going to become a millionaire learning subject to and lease purchase options by going to a 3 or 4 day boot camp, you deserve losing $6,000. Okay? I'm just telling you. Like, you can literally call me, and I literally almost taught it to you for free right here. Okay, I have a whole subject on subject to financing on my YouTube page. I've got a 3-part series. And I think in that series, I say, hey, if you have a deal that you think you can get done subject to, but you don't know how to do it, you don't know the paperwork to do it, call me. I will help you out for free. Now, because I don't think it's going to get done, right? Because I don't think the seller's going to do it. But listen, maybe there's a deal where they owe more than what it's worth, but it's in a good neighborhood. Listen, I will do it for free for you. Now, you're going to be my partner. We're going to partner up, but I'll give you the deal like 70-30 you, right? But I will do all the paperwork. I'll walk you through it. I'll hold your hand, and I will teach it to you step by step, okay? So everybody knows how to get a hold of me. I'm easy to get a hold of. Okay? So that's that. So just watch the subject to. You don't have to pay anybody to go learn that. Now, let's get into, so that's this 3 or 4 day boot camp. I am telling you, you are never, ever, 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 especially if you're a newbie, you are never, ever, ever, ever going to go to a boot camp and then close a deal, right? You need more training than that. I'm sorry, right? Especially subject to, right? Now, listen, if you have money, that's different, okay? Listen, I am talking about, let me get this straight, okay? I want to make myself very clear. There's all sorts of types of different investors out there, okay? Most investors that are going to Ron LeGrand or Pace Morbley or even to me, right? Now, with me, they learn everything, okay? Everything, okay? Everything from money to appraisals to title, how the system works. You can become a mortgage broker or a realtor if you want. That's how much information you get from me, okay? That all takes time. Now, thing is this, right? You're not going, okay, I was talking about it, invest. Everybody's different. So you could be a person that has a lot of money. You just don't know what to do. Well, you have a lot of doors that are open. You got money, you got a job, you got good credit. Well, listen, you don't have to do subject to financing. You could do other things. You could do, I would say, do short sales. You can make a lot of money in short sales. I told you, I got a student of mine, $1.5 million, student and a friend, right? $1.5 million doing a couple short sales. Build homes. You can make a ton of money building homes. It's not hard. I can help you, right? You call me, I'll walk you through it, right? It's not hard at all, okay? Literally, I have a student, CEO of a company, went to Grant Cardone. After a week, he knew he was getting screwed over. He called me up. Within like 6 months, he bought 10 acres and he's doing a 10-acre home site. We're already done phase 1 of the engineering. He's like, man, did I learn? I can't believe how much I learned in literally 6 months, right? So, you know, and he's still learning. By the way, he just closed on 4 properties 2 weeks ago, right? 3 of them literally zero money down. No money down. Now, he had to buy 1 of them cash, but we bought 1 cash and 3 of them not 1 penny out of his pocket. Not a penny for closing cost. No closing. He got the seller to pay everything. Okay? That was a good deal. Okay? And now he's got 10 acres and he's building a 10-acre home site, 10 single-family lots. Okay? There you go. All right. Now, that's different. He has money. He's got a job. He's got credit. A lot of students, they don't have money. Okay? Or credit. Or maybe a combination of both. They have no money and bad credit. Or maybe you got good credit but no money, right? And you want to do real estate. Okay, Ron LeGrand and all these guys are telling you to do subject to financing. Well, good luck. Good luck doing that. And you're going to realize when you get hung up on 10,000 times, what's going to happen? Well, here's exactly what you're going to do. Maybe. You're just going to become the next guru. Because that's what all these gurus are. They went to some guy like Ron LeGrand, learned subject to financing and lease purchase options, went out there, completely fell on their face flat. Never did 1 deal, ever. Couldn't get a deal done. You know why? Because you're not doing subject to deals. I'm sorry. Unless you got money. Okay? Well, most of these people don't have money. So what happened? They just took all the material, put their name on it, and now they're the new guru. They all have the same story. They all say the same stupid crapola. I almost said a bad word there. They almost say the same stuff. They're just a new guru. So what I am telling you is this, right? It does not work. That's why all these gurus are out there, okay? If they were so rich doing these subject to financing deals, they wouldn't have to be selling programs for $5,000 or $10,000, whatever they charge, okay? So trust me when I tell you this. Unless you have money and credit, and again, I wouldn't do subject to financing deals if I was you. Well, I wouldn't say that. Maybe, right? Depending on the deal. I would never say never, right? If it's a good deal, yeah, maybe, right? But that's the people with money. The people that don't have money, there's better options out there for you than doing subject to, right? Especially doing a lease purchase on the back end of the deal, okay? So stay away. Now, let's talk about the other stuff that Ron LeGrand offers, okay? Now, And like I said, I got a 3-part subject to financing out there, and I will help anybody they want for free. Just call me. I'll help you. Okay? Now, let's talk about the brutal truth, right? I mean, it's so small you can't even read it. Like, you need a magnifying glass to read this thing, right? Okay. This is his other thing. Ron LeGrand's Gold Club. Okay, how much is that? All right, hold on. Let's get into that. And don't believe all this garbage, too. The market is this and the market is that. You can get rich without paying any taxes on your newfound wealth. Don't be left out of the loop. Just because the secret no CPA, even privileged no. No, only Ron LeGrand knows it. Yeah, you're right. Only he knows it. All right, let's get out of your comfort zone, right? This is for only serious-minded people like you. Absolutely free. Yeah, I'm sure it's absolutely free, right? What's free here, right? Nothing's free. All right, hold on. All right. Okay, let's get to the Gold Club and how much it is. Welcome to the Gold Club. All right, I got it. Sorry, it was down at the bottom. Okay. We're going to go over a few things. Okay, first thing is they want to give you a personal profile. You got to fill out this personal profile. Let's go over that real quick. I mean, I can put it up in the... Matter of fact, do you want me to put it on the camera? I could probably do that. Let me see here. Yeah, I can do that. All right, let's put it under the camera. And let's go over the personal profile that he wants us to fill out. So let's pull this up real quick. Give me a second. Let me make sure I got it. All right. Let me pull this up. And okay, let's see here. Let's see what we got here. All right. All righty. There we go. Okay. So this here is what he calls, let's pull it out here. So this is his mentor newsletter, right, for his Gold Club. Okay. So let's, can we zoom in a little bit? Let me see. See if we can zoom in a smidge. See if we can just, all right, we're continually adjusting the content of our mentor newsletter and other trading in the Gold Club to meet the needs of our members. The more we know about you, the better we can assist you. This confidential questionnaire will give us a better understanding of your interests and problems and how we can be of the greatest value. Please complete and return by fax or in the enclosed envelope. I guarantee you it's more about how much money do you really have that we can suck out of you. But let's see. Initially, the process of thinking through your answers will provide more value itself. Okay, name, last name. Oh, let's see what we do here. So let's see what we got here. Right? Papa. Now, why does any of this matter? Right? Number of kids, age, my wife. Right? Self-employed, 40 years, type of work, mortgage, investor, right? What business, real estate, okay? Yearly income, here you go, right? Yearly income. Do you have a real estate license? Yes. Have you ever? Yes. Do you have a website? Yes. Time you teach, take, and set aside and work, making you more money. See, you need to know that. Most people are going to say a day, right? 1 hour at the most, maybe 2. And listen, I'm telling you, most people, students, are going to tell you they don't have time. They got 4 hours a week, right? That's what they're going to tell you. I'm telling you. I've asked a lot of my students, they're like, I can give like how successful do you think you're going to be putting 2 to 3 hours a week into something? And seriously, even stuff that you really think you're going to be able to do that, right? Can you follow instructions, right? Are you willing to pursue some task? Would you consider yourself aggressive? Yes. Describe. Now, here we go. This is what we just found. This is why they're sending this letter out. Right here. Why isn't it zooming out? Okay, sorry. Right here. Folks, this is why this letter is sent out. Right here. Okay? If you found a good real estate deal that needed capital and you were convinced you could profit, found a business that needed to start up capital, how much could you raise? There you go. How much above funding would be your own money, borrowed money? Do you normally see a task through to completion? All this, they don't give a hoot. I was going to say the F-bomb right there. They don't care about this at all. Right here's what they care about. Right, I knew it. Listen, I never looked at this letter before right now today. I'm telling you, I never looked at it. But I knew it had to be about money. I knew it. And here it is, right here. If you found a good real estate deal that needed capital, right? And you were convinced you could profit or found a business that needed startup capital. Meaning that, hey, I got a business that needs money. Do you want to lend money to somebody? How much could you borrow? Right? How much money do you have? Right there. Hey, we got a deal. Do you want to fund it for us? Why? Because now you're the person who's going to give up the money for the subject to financing. Because if he has $1 million plus, he can go buy a lot of property. He's looking for people to lend him money. Right? Because you're not getting deals done with no money down subject to financing. This just proves it right here. Why does he need this? Why does he need that? If you're making so much money doing subject to financing deals, why do you need money? You don't have to. But guess what? You can't make money doing subject to financing deals. Again, look at it. Look at what he's saying right here. Sorry, I'm out of the picture. If you found a good real estate deal that needed capital and you were convinced you could profit, or if you found a business that needed startup capital, how much could you raise? How much of the funding would be your money or borrowed money? Meaning, what do we got to pay back? Because if he's borrowing it at 8%, what do we got to pay him back? Right? Think about what's going on here, folks. Learn to think outside the box and think about what they're doing to you. Do you normally see a task through to completion? Yes or no? Meaning that, no, I really don't. You know why? Because they don't want you then. Because if you're the guy that never follows through and you say you're going to raise $1 million, nah, you're never going to raise a penny. So they're not going to rely on you. That tells you everything right there. If that doesn't tell you to run away, nothing else will. That's it right there in a nutshell. Come on, folks. I mean, oh my God. Welcome to the Gold Club. You'll find an indoctrination. Yeah, you're going to be indoctrinated. Oh my God. Let me do this real quick. There was a page 2 to that, I think. Let me just see if there was. Hold on for 1 second. I mean, that tells you all you need to know right there. Seriously, that's all you need to know. How much money can you raise? Because if we found a deal, remember, he just told you you don't need it. The sellers are going to beg you to take the deal. Right? They're begging you to take the deal. Oh my God. Let's see if there is a page 2. Okay. Here's what it says. Are you ready to proceed in one or both and start making money quickly? Right? Meaning, are you ready to raise money and give us money? Why haven't you done so now? Right? So they're trying to give you pom-pom motivation. Come on, get off your lazy behind and start moving. Would you like a consultant to discuss your options? Of course everybody's going to say yes. Because they're going to call you and boy, are they going to hammer you. Are they going to beat you to a pulp to start giving them money? What do you see your biggest roadblock to financial freedom? I'll tell you what, giving gurus money. You just literally put it in a fireplace. It'll be better for you. When you begin making a lot of money, what will you do differently? Boy, if this isn't, oh my God. Oh my God. Do you travel? If so, where would you go if money wasn't an issue? Look what they're doing to you. I'm going to make you so rich you could travel no matter where you want to go. And when they call you, this is what they're going to use. Hey, you said you wanted to go to Italy. If I could show you how to close one deal, you could take that trip to Italy. You're going to tell me that that's not worth $5,000? I'm going to make you so rich that you're going to be able to travel to Italy every week. Matter of fact, you're going to be able to buy a house in Italy if you want. Oh, where do I sign? Where do I sign? Where do I sign? Thank you. Thank you so much, money. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for taking my money. Is there something else we should know to provide you with the best possible assistance? If you could be alone with Ron LeGrand, ask him one question, what would it be? Oh, my God. I can tell you what it would be. Why are you ripping people off when you know this stuff doesn't work? Can you see what they're doing to you? Can you just please open up your eyes? Please. Oh, listen, I know this is a long video. You can come back every now and then. Let's look at the next. Here is the Ron LeGrand gold. Let's put it under the camera. Now, let's put it under the camera and let's look at it together, folks, okay? Let's just do this real quick. Why can never get the whole thing in here at once? I wonder if this would reach over there. I don't think it will. Yeah, it's not going to reach, but maybe I can get it a little bit closer. No, I can't. All right. Okay. All right. Until I get my new, I have a new camera on order, right? But it's just not here yet. So, and I've been waiting for it. I might just have to buy, I might have to cancel the order and get another. Okay, let's take a look at this. This is the Ron LeGrand Gold Club. Now, this is older, so these prices might have gone up, okay? Our virtual assistants are fully trained on completing property information sheets, whether for finding, calling FSBOs, or from other marketing campaigns. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you this. If you need a virtual assistant, you're not a real estate investor, because these virtual assistants are never going to find you a deal, okay? This is the worst thing you could ever do because it makes you lazy, okay? Our virtual assistants are fully trained on completing property. Where do you see this property information sheet? It's a clown show. Now look what it says. I just want to point something out, okay? I want to point something out to you, okay? The first thing it says is FSBOs, for sale by owner. Do you honestly think just because somebody puts their house up on the market without a realtor that they're motivated to just hand you the keys? No, they just hate realtors like me. Doesn't mean they're motivated and they're giving away their property. Okay, let me tell you another thing. Yellow letters. Do you honestly think they work? You're out of your mind. Out of your mind. How many yellow letters have you ever gotten junk mail? What do you do with it? You rip it up and you throw it out. Now, I can show you something a little bit better than a yellow letter, okay? We could place your online ads, screen your buyers, and make other tests to save you time and close you more deals, right? Trust me, you don't want that. You would rather be a good investor and do it yourself. Trust me, because now all of your sudden, I'm going to tell you the shitty leads that you're going to get. They are not good leads. And I'm going to show you the property management stuff in a second, okay? But now, I'm going to give you one of my trade little secrets out, okay? I'm going to give you one of my little secrets out that I usually don't give out, but I'm going to give it out. Now, yellow letters are a clown show. They're stupid. They make you look like a clown. Now, what if you were to go to a company? Now, I went to this company right here. It's called Crane and Company, okay? And what I got was this. Nice little, and this is very thick paper. Okay? And it's enough to put a handwritten note together, and you get a nice monogrammed, my name on the back, right? And nice envelope. Now, if you got something like that in the mail, whoops, sorry about that. Sorry about that. My thing hit the stuff. My apologies. If you got something like that in the mail, are you going to open that or are you going to open up a yellow letter? And the other thing that you need to do is, and let me see if I have it right here. Besides your yellow letter, besides that, right, the other thing you need to do, you must do, right, is you must do this, okay? You must learn how to have nice penmanship, okay? Now, I know, like, during this thing, I really don't, but you need to do a couple of things. You need to go get yourself the nice letterhead like that. You need to buy yourself something nice like this. What is this? Okay. This is what they call a fountain pen. Okay, it's like old school fountain pen. Now, this is a very expensive fountain pen. This is a gift from one of my students to me, right? Thanking me for all the stuff that he learned because he wasted about $50,000 on gurus. I got him out of his debt, right? And so he's debt free. You get some ink like this, right? And you learn how to write really nice letters on that type of paper, which is very thick, nice paper, okay? Because no one's going to read your yellow letter. It's going to get tossed in the trash. I guarantee you that letter gets opened because I know it works, okay? So you got to learn to know how to call people on yourself, how to talk to people on yourself. Because if not, I'm going to show you the kind of calls that you're going to get. Trust me. I have talked to many a student that had virtual assistants, and they'll all tell you they're junk. Okay, now let's continue. Yes, sign me up. I understand I'll be charged a one-time setup fee of $500 if I elect the Gold Elite VA or the Gold VA membership letters. Okay? Now, you could pay. Now, I'm sure it's more money because this is old. $997 a month, $500 a month. Right? Let's see. Gold Plus membership includes all Gold Plus automatic lead service. Right? So this is, I guess that's the extras, right? So let's look at the Gold Deal Elite. It includes 40 hours of VA service. We call FISBOs and run your office. Email, real estate deal hotline, Ron LeGrand's automatic lead service. Right? You get 2 counties that they're going to call for $1,000 a month. Includes 20 hours of VA service. We call FISBOs for you. I am telling you, you're not getting anywhere with FISBOs, okay? Gold Plus includes all Regon's benefit plans, automatic lead service, pay in full. You know, good luck with that. I'm going to show you, trust me, I have their script, right? I have it, okay? I have it. All right? Let's look. Hold on. We got to continue, right? Let me move this down. I apologize. Let's move it down a little bit. Okay. Then we'll get to page 2. I have to get a document camera. I got to get it like immediately. Me going back over there is just so stupid. Okay. Now let's continue. Okay. So now it wants your name. Sorry. It wants your name, right? So your name, your mentor. Do you want a mentor? Your start date, your address, your payment right here. Per month, put your credit card, sign it, right? So everything's about giving them money right away, right? Give us money. Everything's about giving them money, okay? Now, let's see what else we got here. So, you're talking about $12,000 a year, right? $1,000 a month. I am telling you the kind of crappy leads you're going to get, all right? Then it goes in, the rest of it just goes into terms and conditions, your client agreement. Now, let's read the client agreement together. All right? Let's read this. Okay? Let's read this. Because this is important. All right? Let me put this up here. All right? This is important. So let's read this. I'm telling you what. I'm going out tomorrow and buying a new document. I ordered it. I don't know where it's at. Right? My old one, I don't know why it doesn't work. It doesn't work over here. It only works over there. It's so stupid. So frustrating too. Ugh. Okay, let's read this client agreement. Okay? This should tell you all you need to know. I understand and agree that no guarantee has been made or could be made that I will actually consummate a transaction involving a property during or after the class or that I will be guaranteed any kind of monetary refund, rebate, commission, or any other monies if I don't. So what's he telling you, right? You agree that no, whatever. I agree to send a letter or fax to GPI describing my success from what I learned and put into action from this event. This correspondence will take place within 10 days of the close of the sale of the property. So what's he, again, all this stuff is doing what? Putting the confidence in your head that you're going to be going to Italy. You're going to close the deal within 10. I will bet you any amount of money you don't close the deal in 10 days. I'm talking a newbie. A newbie. You're not closing a deal in 10 days, right? I understand. First of all, they're going to say, I got to talk to my attorney. I got to talk to my accountant, right? As soon as they talk to them, you're done. I understand and agree that any technique, form, trade secret, or agreement furnished by me and shared with the group can be reproduced and used at a later date. I further consent to the reproduction of any photograph and tape conversation, including testimonials, and agree to use the same for educational or promotional use. This consent is given with no exception or compensation thereof. I understand that solicitation of any type of goods or services to GPI clients is strictly prohibited. Furthermore, the passing of petitions and distribution of written information are not allowed. Commercial activity, including solicitation, interviewing, recruiting, selling, distribution of flyers, petitions, or other written information is also prohibited unless you're given specific permission by GPI. I acknowledge that neither GPI nor Ron LeGrand function as my agent, personal accountant, lawyer, or financial advisor. I acknowledge that I am responsible for my actions and hereby release Ron LeGrand, GPI, and affiliated companies and any of their staff, employees, officers, or agents from liabilities for any of my actions or comments influenced by information contained in products or services received. I also understand by breaking this agreement, there'll be absolutely no grounds for a refund of any kind, all fees forfeited, and I will be asked to leave the training event immediately. I also agree there'll be no grounds to contact my credit company since my refund has been forfeited. So what he's trying to tell you is that you better not dare call your credit card company and do a chargeback, meaning that you tell them that it's a fraud, piece of crap deal, and you want your money back, that you've been ripped off. Because how many times do you think that has happened? So he's getting that signed at the very bottom, at the very end, after he pumps you up with pom-pom motivation, right? So this way you sign it, knowing full well that you're not going to do anything because you're going to make all that money to go to Italy, right? You're going to be making so much money, it's disgusting, right? Okay. So continuing on with his gold program, right? All of this and more, this is the class, right? You're going to find located, motivated prospects, buyers and sellers. You'll become a guerrilla marketing expert. Okay, sure you will, in 3 days, right? Pre-screen prospects. You have a system that pre-screen does all the work for you. Really? I'm going to read you what the virtual assistant says. Okay, that's it. A lot of time will be class be working on deals and becoming proficient in pre-qualifying ugly houses. Many leads are generated by a local realtor before our arrival at the seminar. Others are brought in by students. All the houses will pre-screen so we can get the cream of the crop only to the most qualified prospects. Okay, this is exactly what he's telling you. Okay? He has realtors out there looking for crappy deals that he can have there at the seminar so that he can go over them with you saying, okay, let's look at this deal. Oh, and by the way, we spent weeks trying to cultivate it, right? He's telling you right now that any deal that he's got going on, he didn't close it right then and there on the spot, okay? What's he telling you? Leads are generated by a local realtor before our arrival at the seminar, okay? Meaning that they've been working on these leads. Others are brought in by students. All the houses will be pre-screened so we can get the cream of the crop of only the most qualified prospects, right? So he's telling you that they've been working on these deals, okay, so that we're going to show you how great we are that we're going to close them. But meanwhile, you think that you're going to go to a thing, watch him close one deal, right? Because, you got a motivated seller and he's got somebody who's giving him a lot of money and they go close the deal. I mean, come on. Stop. You'll learn how to find and use a realtor capture the smorgasbord of bargains in the MLS. Now, I'm not saying that that's not true, Realtors are a good source. We use realtors all the time. They're check chasers, right? But just remember, they want to get paid. So if you're doing a no money down deal, how are you paying the realtor? How are they getting paid? Right? How are you paying the realtors? Because if they're representing you, they want to get their 2 or 3%. They're not getting it from the seller because you're doing a no money down deal. How are you paying them? Right? So you got to learn. Oh my God. How to start with nothing and begin making $5,000 every month and never own a single property. God. So again, let's read what it says. How to start with nothing. You got no money. You got no credit. You got no credibility. You know nothing. And you think that you're going to be making $5,000 every month and never own a single property. Now, by owning a single property, he's right. Because what? You're doing subject to financing deals. You don't own it. Well, actually, you do own it, right? Well, you're going to put it into a trust, so the trust owns it, okay? How to contract off, well, actually, he could also be talking about wholesaling deals as well, right? That you're just flipping contracts, okay? I call flipping contracts, right? How to contract offers fast and simple. You'll never pay too much for a property again. You'll be such an expert when you return home. In 10 minutes, you'll learn the formula that took me 10 years to create. How to locate houses nobody else knows are for sale. He's talking about off-market properties. Just because they're off-market doesn't mean that they're desperate, okay? How do you determine the true market value of a home without software or real estate license? Know the market. Listen, me and my wife knew the market so well. If somebody called us up and said, hey, I got a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house I want to get rid of. We'd say, what's the condition of it? What's the street? Right? I can tell you right now what it's exactly worth. Right? When you know your market, you're an active real estate investor, you don't need an appraisal. But trust me when I tell you, do not use a realtor to get your values. I have an appraiser on call. Call him up. Hey, Gary, can you give me the value of this property? Yeah. Like I almost got screwed on a deal, right, with one of my students. We were sure this house was going to appraise for 2.3 to 2.5 million. We were sure of it. So we were willing to pay 1.516, right? We were sure this is appraising at 2.3 to 2.5. Sure of it. Now what happened? 1.9. And who do we call? We called an appraiser. Not a realtor, because a realtor is going to give us all these goofy comps, right? An appraiser is going to tell us what the real value is, because that's what they do for a living, right? So thank God he's on our speed dial, and that's what we did. So you always have an appraiser to back you up, right? You don't want to just roll the dice and take chances. You want to have a team of experts on your team. You want to have experts on your team is what you want to do. How to repair costs on major items and arrive at the total cost in minutes. How to repair cost on major items and arrive at the total cost in minutes. Makes no sense. I don't even know what that means. Various exit determined strategies to maximize your income from each property. Okay, he wrote that wrong. Various exit determined strategies to maximize your income from each property. What he's trying to say is, listen, always have at least, I tell my students this all the time, you better have 2 exit strategies. What do I mean by that? How are you getting out of the deal if something turns sideways? How are you getting out of the deal? Okay, how are you getting out of the deal? You need to have at least 2 strategies. You learn how to increase your profits to get the most out of each deal. Okay, and you're going to do all this in by 3 days, by the way. I mean, you're really going to be an expert in 3 days, right? You are going to be a superstar when you walk out of here. You'll spend time learning how to earn the most revenue with the least amount of work. Yeah, okay. Oh my God. How to make $20,000 with one letter that's become the backbone of marketing and changed the entire industry. It gets 1/3 of the sellers to make you call. Oh my God. That's unbelievable. All right. I mean, this is such marketing. This is what I'm talking about. All this marketing stuff. You know what I say, right? Here's what I say to everybody. Okay? This is what I say. Here's more. Oh, yeah, it's just the gold plate. Okay, here's what I say to everybody. I say, listen, everybody's different, and everybody's goals are different, and everybody's needs are different. Okay? Depending on your situation and how much time and effort you can put into this career is how long it's going to take you to be successful. Nobody can guarantee success except you. Okay? And a lot of things factor into that. So like if you're one of my friends and students who has a lot of money, job, credit, income, well, we did short sales and built homes. Okay? And made well over $1 million in 2 years. But he had the money, the means, the jobs, and everything. Like money wasn't an object. Okay? So we were able to do things that nobody else can do. Right? And why? Because I knew how to do them. All right? But then you take one of my other students, and I'm not going to name her name, but she has zero money, drives for Uber, and has like 15 kids. Right? She can't rub 2 pennies together. Her credit is shot to hell. What are her options? Okay, well, she has 2 options. Okay? Her options are to buy properties creatively using no money. Okay? And certainly subject to is not it. Trust me when I tell you that. Right? Or she's got to go get partners. Right? Or hard money lenders. Okay? And the hard money lenders are private money. They're going to want money in the deal. And she doesn't have any time to learn this stuff. And she's a nice lady. And I tell her all the time, listen, I'll help. Just call me and I will help you. We could call together. But she doesn't even take me up on the offer. Why? Because she don't have time. She's taking care of 20 damn kids. She had so many damn kids. Right? So everybody's different. And that's what they should tell you. To make these kind of bold statements, you're going to be rich in 90 days, quit your job in 90 days, right? No, you're not. It's like, no, you're not. All right, let's talk about, this is the live reception application, okay? Now what this is, okay, this is the recommended, now again, this is an annual fee of $3,000. For unlimited live reception minutes, right? Or you can pay $150 a month, which is 250 live answers minutes per month. 250 live answer minutes per month. Includes up to 5 or local free telephone numbers, $150 setup fee, $95 cents per additional live reception a minute. Okay? Now, this is what I want to show you. I'm going to put this on camera because this is lovely. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at this. Okay. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this. All right. Let's look at this. All right. Here we go. Let's take a look at this. All right. This is the extra added stuff, right? That you're going to get charged for, right? So, let's take a look at it. Ron's recommended package, $149 a month, unlimited package, $29.95 one-time annual fee, right? Well, what is it? Is it one time or is it an annual fee, right? These are 2 separate things. It's either one time or it's annual. What is it? Well, I mean, it's got to be one or the other, okay? Please note that Pat Live reserves the right to adjust our agreement with you at any time should your advertising produce highly... Yeah, you're going to get so many calls, right? It prevents Pat Live from serving all of our customers with high service levels. Once your service has completed its 1-year term, your account will be converted into Pat Live standard monthly service at $149 a month, 250 live calls, and 95 cents each additional minute. So you got to pay $29.95. Then it turns into that, it looks like, after 1 year. Okay, but here's what I want you to do. Okay? This is so important for you. So important. You got to understand, if you don't know how to talk to a seller, having a virtual assistant is going to do you nothing but give you crappy leads. You have to be able yourself to pick up the call, talk to a seller, create a rapport with him or his realtor, okay? His or her or their realtor. Build a rapport with them, especially if you're trying to do creative financing deals. And that's what he's talking about. Because let's see what the virtual assistant is going to give you. I'm not telling you what it is. I'm showing you what it is. Okay, here we go. Ready? So, and again, scripts are the worst thing under the sun. You got to be yourself. You have to be yourself, not a salesperson. Now, let's look at this. This is a seller call, okay? If you're not using a virtual assistant. Now, I want you to think, now listen to these questions, and I want you to honestly think, what are you going to get out of this? Okay, may I have your name, please? Of course, Vinnie. Can I get your phone number? Well, you called me, right? What do you think your house will appraise for? That's the first question. Are you out of your mind? What are you asking for the house? What do you owe on the house? Now, why are you asking those questions, right? What do you owe? What's it value? Right? You know why we're asking this question. Subject to financing, folks. That's why. Okay? How'd you hear about us? Well, we want to know if our marketing's working. What's the address? When do you want to move? Are your payments current or behind? Does the house need any repairs? Okay, that's if you're not using a virtual assistant. Now, if you go in that order, you're going to get, you are not going anywhere. That's the worst. Listen, I'll get to it in a minute. Let's get what the virtual assistant is going to ask. Ready? So just imagine the leads that you're going to get from this, okay? Now imagine they're talking to a seller and it's going to be a lead for you. So this is what you're going to get out of the lead. Do you have a house for sale? What? You called me. Yes, I got a house for sale. Okay. What's your phone number, your cell number, what's the address, and the best time to call you? So listen to what you're getting. So here's your lead. This is the lead that you're going to get. John Smith at 610-312 so has a house for sale, and the best time to call him, it's at 123 Main Street, and the best time to call is in late afternoon. Okay, now you got 50 of those leads. Are they any good? That's the information that you got from the script. There's the script right there. There's the I'm not telling you. There's the script right there. That's what the information you're going to get. Now let's look at the other side from the buyer. So the buyer calls, and you're not using a virtual assistant, okay? So this is you now. Can I get your name, please? Sure, it's Vinnie. Can I get the phone number you're calling me from? Sure, 610. Which area are you looking to buy a home? Philadelphia. How many bedrooms and bath would you like? 4 bedroom, 3 bath. What's the maximum monthly payment that you can afford? $5,000. How much money do you have for the down payment? Nothing. Are you ready to buy now? Yes. How soon are you looking to move? ASAP. Is your credit good, fair, or ugly? Ugly. Okay, what are you going to do with that lead? Now, that's you asking those questions. Now, if you're using a virtual assistant, right? This is a virtual assistant now. Let's see the questions that you're going to get. Here we go. Are you interested in buying a house? Yes. What's your phone number? This. What's the best time to call? Evening. Okay? Now, that's what you just got from your virtual assistant that you just paid $150 a month, 95 cents a minute, your $150 setup fee, and your $3,000 one-time annual fee. Okay? And this is what you got. You have an interested buyer. His phone number 610. The best time to call him is in the evening. That's your lead, right? That's what you got. Now, why in the world do they want to know if the seller has a down payment? Okay, let me show you an additional way, okay? And I didn't show you this way on subject to financing. I gave you 3 ways. Let me give you a 4th way, okay? Let me give you a 4th way. Let's say that you already have a buyer. And this buyer has crappy credit, but he's got $20,000 to put down, okay? And you found a house subject to financing. They're willing to sell you the house with $20,000 down. Okay, great. So what do? Well, you buy the house using the $20,000 down, but you buy it subject to financing, and you turn around and sell it to him under the lease purchase option with the $20,000 that you got down. Now, I didn't mention that earlier because the likelihood of a seller only wanting a small amount of money, meaning this. Let me get to the big board. Meaning this. This is why I didn't really kind of teach it to you, but if they're asking these questions, I want you to understand why they're asking these questions, okay? So let me show you why. All right? Let me show you why. Okay? Let's go back to this situation. Let's go back to this, okay? Let's go back. This is you. Okay? These are your buyers. Sorry. These are your buyers. Okay, you're creating a buyer's list, which I highly recommend. I'm all for getting a buyer's list. Okay, so here's your buyers. Okay, these are your buyers. Okay, and now you found this house over here. Okay, and it's got a fair market value of $200,000. They owe $180 with PITI of $2,000 with 24 years left. Right, on a 30-year loan. And they're at 4%. Okay? So you go to the seller. And you say, I want to buy this house. I've got a buyer. It's perfect for it. And the seller says, listen, right? Now, you can't get a loan because you got bad credit, right? You got no job, but you went to Ron LeGrand. So you want to do this deal subject to financing. The seller says, I'll do it. I want my $20,000 down. You say, okay. Let's sign the deal. I'm going to make it contingent for 30 days, right? So now you go, and you got 30 days, so you go and you go to your buyers. And you say, I have a house. I need $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 down. Okay, minimum you want 20. You'd like to get 30, okay? But you put it out there, I got a house, $30,000 down, 20, right? Between $20,000 and $30,000 down, depends, right? And this buyer comes and says, hey, I got $20,000. Would you do the deal? And you're like, yeah, all right. But you know what? I'm selling it to you for more money. So, 20 grand, okay. So now you take his $20,000. You give the $20,000 over to the seller. You and the seller sign subject to financing the deal. So this payment now goes into your name. You then sell this under a lease purchase option, right, for $2,500 a month, right, and for $225,000. Okay, that's what he's talking about structuring a deal like this. Now, why didn't I talk about this earlier? Okay, here's why I didn't talk about this earlier. Because the likelihood of you finding a deal, one, that a seller is going to take subject to financing is very slim. Now, on a house where there's not a lot of equity, I agree, you could probably, there'll be houses like that you can do. Yes. I will never say no to that. Yes, you will be able to find those deals. Okay, but to find a deal and then have a buyer give you the money, because most of the time it's going to be a lot more than $20,000. And how many of these buyers do you think are just going to put $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 down on a lease purchase option? And then, like I told you before, when it goes sideways, and it will, because I guarantee you they're either self-employed or they've got bad credit. Now, the self-employed will pay you, but they can't go to closing, okay? They'll pay you, but they can't go to closing. So when it goes sideways, and it will, what are you going to do then? And this is why I didn't discuss this, right? Because it's a little bit more technical, and we can go in a lot more detail with it on another video. If anybody wants another video on it, let me know. I'll teach it, right? But what I'm saying is this is very unlikely that it's going to happen. Can it happen? Yes, it can. Absolutely. You got to go after like high LTV loans, right? And if you want to go after them, you can go after them, right? So now you're just using the borrower's funds to use as your down payment. But again, the reason why I don't like it is because look at the borrower that you're getting. You're only going to get listen, people who have money and good credit, they don't need to do a lease purchase. They don't need this deal. They can go buy whatever house they want. Okay, so you're not getting that type of borrower. You're getting somebody who's either got A, bad credit, or B, self-employed. And neither one of them are going to go to closing. So you're going either A, the people with bad credit, you're going to be going to court and then trying to evict them, but you're going to wind up in foreclosure court because they're going to fight you tooth and nail. And the same thing's going to happen with the self-employed. Okay? So just save the down payment. Like you can't because you spent the down payment, right? So this is why I don't want you to do these types of deals, because you're setting yourself up for such failure. Listen, when you do it and you structure it, you're going to be on cloud nine. You're going to be like, oh my God, I'm a genius. When you're not a genius, you're on Mount Stupid because you don't know what's coming next, right? You're at the tip of the iceberg. Oh, I'm so happy. You don't know what's lurking underneath. Trust me, the sharks are circling around you, just waiting for you to fall off so they can eat you. And they're going to eat you. You're going to get eaten alive. And it's going to hurt, right? Did you ever get eaten alive by a shark? Well, I guarantee it probably hurts. I don't know, it sounds like it hurts. Seems like it hurts. That's what's going to happen. You're going to fall off that iceberg and you're going to go right in the pool of great white sharks. And you're going to get eaten alive. And I don't want you to get eaten alive. So that's why I don't want you to do these deals. But I have to explain to you, when he says this, I have to explain it to you, okay? I can't not explain it to you, right? And that's what he's talking about when he asks you about the money, right? So when he said, when we have the seller script, right? And let's get back to the seller script for a second, right? When we get to the seller script, right? And they're asking you this money, right? Sorry, what'd I do there? Sorry. So when they ask you this here, right? What's the maximum monthly payment, right? They need to know that. Why? Because they just took a property subject to financing, or they're going to. They need to know. And then this is the next one, right? Because it's one or two things are going to happen. One, they're going to use it for the down payment on the subject to financing deal. Or two, it's going to be your option fee under the lease purchase option, right? You can do a lease purchase and you can have you can option to buy it, but your option is $20,000 non-refundable, right? And you're going to try and not have them pay it, but you're going to get screwed. All right, are you ready to buy now? How soon are you ready to move? Right, it's your credit. Now, you know, that's basically, and look at, I mean, this is what your virtual assistant is going to give you. Do you think you're going to get anything out of that? Do you honestly think you're going to get quality leads out of this? You're going to spend more time calling people because your virtual assistant didn't screen them, right? I mean, that's the problem. Let's see if we got another page to this. Now, I apologize that this is such a long video. Maybe you can come back and watch it in a couple of different sections. But my point is that, listen, right? I'm just telling you, it's just, you're setting yourself up for failure. When I research people, I research them, right? All right, all right, here's your live reception. Let's do this. Let me give you this one. Okay. Now, again, this is a little bit older. I'm not saying it's not older. I'm not saying this could be older information, but it's not like super old. So let's go to this now, right? Let's go to some more information. Because like I said, when I research somebody, I just don't look at a video. I research them, okay? Now, this is also for the reception, okay? So let's take a look at this. The Pat Live reception script, right? Will you be using Pat reception for callers? Yes. Callers wanting to buy a house and sell? Yes. Callers wanting to sell home? Yes. Yellow letter script? Sure. Will you be using a virtual assistant to do what? I'll be using a VA. Send callers by what? Email. No, email me once a day, right? I want to email once a day. No, actually, I want to email after each call. Will you receive 50 calls a week? Hell yeah. Are you planning on running? Now, how much do you think this is going to cost you? How much do you think running a TV or a radio ad is going to cost you? I can tell you. It's like $200 to $300 a spot on certain stations. That's for one 30-second spot. And if you go national, which you're not going to go national, right? Because you're doing local buying. It's not cheap. So this is what you're trying to get. So they're going to answer your calls for you. Hello, thank you for calling ABC Realtor. Thank you for calling Jimmy Smith's office. Right? Now, I mean, oh my God. If you can't take a call or make a call, you should be out of business. You shouldn't be a real estate investor. If you can't talk to people, get out of the business. Okay? Get out of the business. Don't be a dick. Listen, if you cannot talk to people, honest to God, if you cannot talk to people, you're not an investor. Okay? I mean, I don't do any of this. I help my clients, my students, call realtors, call sellers. And what we do is we go over in school. So they'll make a phone call, record it, we play it in class. And I'd say, okay, everybody like it? And everybody like, oh, it was fabulous. And I'd be like, really? Okay, this is what I would have said. You're like, oh my God, yeah, that's way better. Yeah, well, because I've been doing it for 40 years. That's why it's better, right? Because I know what to say and I know how to talk to sellers and realtors, right? Oh my God. Listen to this. I'm available on a limited basis to 1 day or half a day consulting on the following topics. Building a speech and close to drive your platform sales through the roof. Building a marketing system to sell seminars and our products on how to implement a cost-effective way. This does not include copywriting, but I'm available to select clients on a limited basis. How to build your personal real estate investing business. Consulting will be done in Jacksonville, Florida at the cost of $10,000 to $20,000. Half of payment will be due on booking 2 days prior to consultant. I mean, are you out of your mind? This guy's out of his... I almost said a bad word. Listen, anybody who pays this is out of their mind. Okay? Listen, this stuff all looks good in the classroom. It looks good in the classroom, and it sounds good in the classroom. But I live in a real world where there's buyers and sellers. that make real decisions on their own personal life. And do you honestly think people were just going to hand properties to their house for no money to you, me, or anybody else just because they think we're a pro? No, would you? Are you going to let 30,000, 50,000 worth of equity just fly out of your hands for whatever reason? No. If you don't want to deal with it, what are you going to do? You're going to call a realtor and let them deal with it. People are not dumb. They're not just handing over stuff to somebody out there. It just does not happen. Okay? So, in my opinion, I would not pay 1 red cent to this gentleman because the stuff that he's selling is garbage. Okay? Garbage. Flat out garbage. Subject to financing doesn't work. Period. Again, if you have money, credit, jobs, there's other better methods for you to go investing in instead of doing subject to. Now, am I going to say, should you never do it? No, I'll never say that. There's a time and a place for everything. Okay? But in my humble opinion, subject to is down at the bottom of the list. Okay? Just like lease purchase options. They're at the bottom of the list. I am telling you from experience, from owning and being a landlord. I'm just telling you, and everybody, landlords that I know and people that I talk to, they say the same identical thing. It's the worst. They never pay. I'm not the only guy saying it. Talk to any experienced real estate investor that has owned property long enough and rented to people. And I am not bashing people with bad credit. They just have bad habits. Not everybody. There might have been somebody who something happened, and you know what? But that's the outlier. Okay, that's not the everyday. That's the outlier. The one that something happened, and they're back on track. I'll grant you that. That is the outlier. I am trying to save you from yourself. Okay, I'm trying to save you from yourself. And again, I don't know Ron LeGrand from Adam. He might be a nice guy. But I am telling you, I've seen some of the deals that he says that happened. They absolutely not. Okay. I'm gonna wrap up with two different scenarios. Well, I gave you my student scenario. All right. I have another scenario. I'm gonna show it to you. This came right from Ron LeGrand seminar. Okay. Let me just pull out the numbers. All right. I'll pull from memory because I've done it a couple of times. So just bear with me. All right. So basically, this is a deal that he says happened. And if you believe it, you're okay, I don't know what to tell you. Right? I literally don't know what to tell you. What am I doing here? What's going on here? All right. Let me show you this. All right? Let me show you this. All right. This is something that Ron LeGrand, a deal that Ron LeGrand said happened, right? And he did it at one of these seminars. Now, the deal, listen, this is how he said he structured this deal. All right. So I'm erasing the board. Okay. I'm erasing the boards so we can do these deals. All right. So if you just bear with me while I erase the boards. Okay. Let's erase the boards, and I'm going to show you this. And then you tell me if you believe it or not. All right? And if anybody has any questions, feel free to let me know. Okay. So here we go. All right? I'm going to we got to empty this one out. Sorry. Let's see what we got here. All right, let me empty that out. Okay, there we go. All right, let me go back to page 1. All right. So, here's what we're going to do. I'm gonna put this together for you real quick, okay? I'm gonna show it to you. So I got to think of all the details, right? But I know them pretty much off the top of my head. So this was the sale part, okay? The sale was $220, okay? That was the sales. That was the fair market value, okay? It was worth $220. They owed 183. PITI was like 1,050, something like that. Okay? $3,000 needed for repairs. Okay? He only paid 183. Right? 220. This was 229. 229. Right? 183 paid. $2,200 in closing cost. Put on a credit card. And he bought it under subject to financing. Okay? So here's my first question. Here's my very first question for anybody here. Right? I think this is the number I'm not 100% sure on. I know it was pretty sure it was 220 because it was like literally like, right, it's just 20, it's like literally almost $40,000. It was actually more than $40,000. It was a higher number. It might have been 230, right? Between what he owed and what it was worth. Okay, but look at this. This was I remember this number, $3,000 in repairs. Okay? Trust me. So there's no repairs. That's like paint or a small bathroom that needed like a toilet and you know, a vanity. Okay, and a sink. So it needed nothing. It was a house ready to go. So my question to you first off is why is somebody just selling it for $183 when it's worth like $220? Right? You're talking $40,000. Why are they just giving away $40,000 when there's no repairs needed? You say, well, Vinny, it probably was a buyer's market. Okay, let's take that premise. It's a buyer's market. Let's go with that for now. Now, the other thing is it only costs $2,200 and he put that on a credit card. Well, I mean, transfer tax, home inspection, title insurance, I don't know. Really? That's it? I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Okay. So he just took over the payments. That's it. Right? The seller didn't care about any money that they had coming to them. They just said, yeah, whatever. Just take it off our hands for whatever reason. Okay. 18 days later. Okay? Literally, not even 3 weeks, not even a month goes by. He sold it under a lease purchase option. Right? And he sold it for like $250,000. Okay? $30,000 down. Now remember, $30,000 down on a lease purchase option. Okay? It was like $2,000 a month for the we'll just call it rent, right? Because it is a rent under a lease. Okay? So $2,000 rent with the option to buy at this. Okay? So $30,000 down, blah, 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 2-year balloon. Now, what's that mean? That means this whole amount of money, $250 minus 30, so $220,000 is due in 2 years. Okay? That's what a 2-year balloon means. So, now, on the seller side, you told me that it was a buyer's market. So how in the world did he sell it 18 days later, get $30,000 down, right, with a 2-year balloon? Right? Now, how's it a seller's market? Now, how in the world didn't the guy before that just go and buy the house? Well, the buyer's got bad credit. Okay, that's the person you want in your house? He just gave you all of his money, all the money that he had saved for his back. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is the kind of deals that you're thinking in your head, oh my God, I just put $30,000 in my pocket and I'm making $700 a month in income. Oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. That's what you're thinking to yourself. I'm going to buy a house in Italy. I'm going to do 10 of these deals a year. 20 deals like this a year. Okay, sure you are. Good luck. Because number one, you just bought a property $40,000 under value. Where are you finding those at? Good luck. Good luck trying to find a house. $40,000 under value, and they don't want it. And they're just willing to hand over the keys to you. And it only needed $3,000 in repairs. Listen to me. I played this more than one time, back and forth. I'm like, these numbers, maybe we're mishearing the numbers, right? Play it back. We're in class. We were in class because somebody else wanted to go to Ron LeGrand. This is how I got all this information, because one of my other students wanted to know about him. So we started researching. I got all this information, and we listened, and I'm like, play it back. Play it back again. We can't be hearing these numbers right. Because when you go out in the real world like I live in, you're not going to find a house that's $40,000 under value that they just want to hand over subject to financing. Then 2 weeks later, sell it for $20,000 more than what it's worth. So you bought it $40,000 under value. You sell it for $20,000 more than what it's worth. You got 30 grand in your pocket. And my question is this, right? Now they owe $230 on the or $220 on the property because you got $30,000 down. How are they going to get financing in 2 years? Where are they getting it? Because I guarantee you they don't have any money left, right? They just put $30,000 down. They put more than 10% down on a house. More than 10%. Right? 10% is only $25,000. They put over 30,000. They put 30,000. They put more than 10% down on a house. And they paid $20,000 more than what it's worth. How are they going to finance it? Right? Or $30,000 more than what it's worth. How are they going to get financing? And I guarantee you, number one, it's not a person that has good credit, because if they have good credit and that kind of money down, they can go buy whatever house they want. So eliminate them. Put the self-employed in there. Well, they're not closing in 2 years. They're not going to have their tax returns done, because you figure by the time they started this lease purchase, they got 2 years. There's zero chance, because they need 2 years to do tax returns. So they really need a 3-year lease purchase, because it's the year before, the 2 years before. So they're definitely not going to closing. If you think you're going to keep their 30 grand and kick them out, you've got another thing coming. You're going to be in a world of lawsuits. So then you're left with the people, okay, they got money but bad credit. Same thing. You're not going to get paid. After 6 months, I give it 6 months, maybe 7, maybe 8, but you're not going to get another penny out of them. And then they're going to squat in your house until the sheriff actually throws them out. And if you live in a judicial state, that's going to be 2 years later. So if you believe this happens, you deserve to get your money stolen from you, from this guy. So if you actually believe these numbers, go right ahead. Go to Ron LeGrand. But if you live in a real world, you know that these numbers are fake. If you ever tried to do any type of real estate, you know these numbers aren't real. Because people just don't give away money. They just don't give it away. It's like having $40,000 in a bag and saying, yeah, just keep it. Yeah, that's all yours. Yeah, no problem. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you. I mean, it makes no sense. It just makes no sense. It makes no sense. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap it up with Ron LeGrand there. If you have a guru that you would like to learn about, let me know. I'll do some research. I'll look it up, and I'll shoot another long video like this so that you can learn all about Ron LeGrand. And I might have said 1 or 2 curse words, might have slipped out. I apologize if they did. I know that my wife made me reshoot this to have a non-curse word podcast. So there you go. There's my 2 cents on Ron LeGrand. The boot camp, stay away. You are not going to learn anything in 3 to 4 days enough to be able to go out and do a deal. Ain't going to happen. You're going to be getting information overload, number one. You're going to be listening to him. They've already got these deals already done. He already told you that, right? They've been working on them forever with a realtor, right? Probably fake anyway. Well, let me take that back. They're not fake, right? But, they're deals that probably they've been working on for a while. And if you think you're just going to bring a deal and close it, you're out of your mind. You don't even know how to do it. You don't even know what to talk to the seller about, right? So good luck with all that stuff. Now, the other stuff, the gold and the virtual assistant, listen, if you don't know how to make calls on your own, you're not a real estate investor. If you don't know how to make calls, if you don't know how to write a contract, you're not a real estate investor. You're a wannabe. So if you want to change your life, if you truly want to change your life, if you want to change your life, you need to get educated. How do you get educated? You come over to where education happens. That's the Golden Triangle Academy, right? The name of my company is called The Real Estate Underground by Vinnie. My website's getting up now, right? That's my main website. But the Golden Triangle Academy is up and running, right? That's our school. That's every Monday night. It's live class streaming. We got a whole curriculum. That website's getting re-uploaded. You're going to see the curriculum. We got a whole big giant curriculum coming up, right? So if you want to wait till after the new year, you'll see it all up. You will see a brand new killer website. So, right now, today's, December 5th, December 6th, December 7th, something like that. No, I'm sorry. It's like December 10th or 11th, right? So if you wait till after the new year, give me a holler. If you truly want to learn what real estate's all about, I can help you. I'm not just going to give you one method. You're going to get the whole entire gamut. And then you pick and choose what you want to do. Because there's more than one way to invest out there, folks. There's all sorts of ways. And depending on what your skills are and what kind of level you're at, whether you're a newbie or somebody who's got money or somebody who's got good credit, a job, you've got more options than the people who have no money, right? And no credit. And only got an hour a day or an hour a week or whatever. Right? Everybody's situation is different. And I go over that with all my students. So I can help you no matter what it is. Right? If you just want to learn certain things, you got it. Right? So we have the Golden Triangle Academy. That's our school. It's every Monday night. Big giant curriculum. I've got the one-on-one mentor with me where you work with me one-on-one. Right? So, listen. I wish you the best. My 2 cents are stay away. This is something I would not get involved with if I was trying. I'm just telling you, like, if I was a newbie or if I'm a half-experienced person and I'm looking to find somebody who mentor and guide me, through my real estate career, would I go to this guy or would I recommend? Absolutely not. You're not going to get anywhere with it, all right? Because the methods being used are not good. You're not going to get a deal. Okay, well, I'll say never. You might be able to get a deal, right? But where's deal 2, deal 3, deal 4, deal 10, deal 20, deal 30? Like when I talk about it, I'm talking about changing your life wearing sweatpants and t-shirts every day. That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of life change we're talking about, being on Financial Freedom Island. That's what I'm talking about. So I appreciate you coming by. I know that this was a very, 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 very long video, but I hope you stuck it out. And if you did, great. Any questions at all, put them down there. I will answer any question that you have. Right? If you want to talk to me, and being that you stayed so long, here's what I'm going to do. If you just want to talk to Vinnie and just have a conversation with real estate and want to know some stuff, here's your reward. This is my cell. Give me a call. I love talking real estate. So that's your reward for staying to the end. Now you got my number. You don't have an excuse. All right. I'll see you in class, everybody.